Chapter 21. Is there something wrong with the heads of these cultists? Question mark. After Zhang Kui had broken through, he was brimming with confidence. Even if the Chu family's territory was a dragon's lair or tiger's den, he still wanted to venture forth. So what if they possessed the family's treasured artifact? He could use the spatial escape bead to escape. As long as he was successful in his incursion into the Chu family's territory and managed to escape unscathed, he would definitely be able to apply a great deal of pressure on the Chu family. As a result, the cult would face less pressure in Chu County. In order to avoid a recurrence of his surprise attack, the Chu family would definitely gather their experts and return to defend their family's territory as well as some important location. Chu Tianming would be restrained from leaving the Chu family's territory even more. The Chu family had to pay the price for sabotaging the cult's years of planning and preparation. When the evil imperial court was free to deal with them, they would definitely destroy the Chu family. Were it not for this incident, the first target of the evil imperial court would have been the Qin royal family instead. However, thanks to this incident, their first target had shifted to the Chu family. Zhang Kui and Dong Qian headed to the Chu family's territory. Black Moon Tower's intelligence had proven to be wrong, so the Chu family's defenses were slightly relaxed. The head butler had also returned to the ancestral residence. Occasionally, there would be Void Realm elders patrolling the territory. Chu Yun was in seclusion in the ancestral residence, while Chu Zan was staring at the spirit cultivating diagram and practicing the 100 tempering divine technique. His spiritual will was now comparable to a 6th-level Unity Realm martial artist. The heavenly spirit cat was lying on the wall, taking a nap. The spirit-devouring flower was swaying its flowers and leaves around, looking rather bored. Outside the Chu family's territory, 2 figures arrived silently. After observing for a while, they found the direction in which it was easiest to break into the Chu family's territory, after which Zhang Kui and Dong Qian sneaked in silently. Although they were intruding into the Chu family's territory, it was different from sneaking in. Before he could enter the family's ancestral grounds, he would be stopped by the experts of the Chu family. Zhang Kui's goal was not only to break into the Chu family's ancestral grounds, but also to break into the Chu family's ancestral residence. Of course, the Chu family's ancestral residence was not easy to break into. There was no need to truly break into it. He only needed to break into the core area of the ancestral grounds to achieve his objective. The ancestral residence was located at the core of the Chu family's ancestral grounds. If someone broke into the core area of the Chu family's ancestral grounds, even if they did not break into the ancestral residence itself, it would be enough to inflict great pressure on the Chu family. Zhang Kui was very confident. After easily entering the Chu family's territory, Zhang Kui strolled about leisurely, not at all looking like he had broken into a dragon's lair or tiger's den at all. On the other hand, Dong Qian's strength was relatively weak, so his expression was slightly nervous as he looked around vigilantly. There's no need to be so nervous. So what if you're discovered? Zhang Kui said proudly, if we come across ordinary elders of the Chu family, we'll kill every single person we see. So what if we directly kill our way into the Chu family's ancestral residence? FCK. Dong Qian cursed in his heart. You're FC King strong, so you're naturally not afraid, but I don't have your ability. If he were to be surrounded and attacked by several elders at the 3rd level of the Void Realm or above, he was afraid that he would be beaten to death before he could even use the spatial escape bead. Even if he successfully activated the spatial escape bead, he would still suffer heavy injuries. How could he not treat his precious life carefully? Dong Qian felt slightly uneasy in his heart, as he had a feeling that something would happen on this trip. When he passed by a courtyard not far away, Zhang Kui suddenly stopped in his tracks. Is that where Chu Chuluo's son lives? It was no secret that Chu Chuluo's son had been expelled from the ancestral residence by Chu Tianming. Before the spies inside the Chu family had been cleaned up, the cult had already obtained this information. It should be. As the branch leader of the cult in Chu County, Dong Qian naturally possessed information regarding Chu Zan. The cult would not pay too much attention to the direct descendants of the Chu family who were below the profound realm. Unless of course one happened to be Chu Chuluo's son. After all, Chu Chuluo's strength had at one time suppressed the entire Qin kingdom. He was the most talented person in the history of the Chu family. Zhang Kui thought to himself. Chu Chuluo, although his son is a little useless, he is still Chu Chuluo's son. If we control him, we might be able to gain something. Sect leader, you mean to recruit him into our cult? Dong Qian asked. No one knew if Chu Chuluo and his wife were dead, since there had been no news about them since they went missing. Before they went missing, it was rumored that Chu Chuluo was already at the 9th level of the Void Realm, and that he was even about to break through to the Unity Realm. If he had not gone missing, the Chu family might already have a Unity Realm expert guarding it now. The strength of the Chu family might have even surpassed the Qin family. There are two options. First, control Chu Chuluo's son and help him break through to the Profound Realm. After that, we'll let him return to the Chu family's ancestral residence and become a chess piece for our cult. Second, we can recruit him into our cult and teach him the evil techniques. He'll become our cult's murder weapon. As Zhang Kui spoke, his eyes flashed with wisdom. Chu Chuluo's son cultivating evil techniques and becoming an evil cultivator. If he kills others wantonly, I'd like to see how the Chu family will deal with him. The more Zhang Kui thought about it, the more tempted he was by the plan. He continued, if that old ghost Chu Tianming kills Chu Chuluo's son with his own hands, I want to see how Chu Chuluo will deal with him if he comes back one day. Moreover, if Chu Chuluo's son is in our cult, when and if Chu Chuluo comes back one day, I'll let this son of his meet him and see if Chu Chuluo will kill him or not. The more he spoke, the more excited Zhang Kui became. He said, it just so happens that we can apply for an evil heart pill from the evil imperial court and mess up his mind, turning him into a loyal supporter and proponent of our evil techniques. Dong Qian said worriedly, sect leader, what if Chu Chuluo is not dead and, seeing that his son has been forced into the cult, goes crazy and exterminates our cult? What are you afraid of? At worst, we can just run away. Zhang Kui sneered and said, can he kill his own son? If he really kills his son, seeing that the one who caused his son to be captured and forced into the cult is none other than the old ghost Chu Tianming, what do you think Chu Chuluo will do? Hey, were it not for old ghost Chu Tianming expelling Chu Chuluo's son, how would our cult even have the chance to make a move? I'd like to see how Chu Chuluo treats the Chu family when he finds out. Dong Qian thought about it and agreed. No matter how he looked at it, the cult would not suffer any losses. Let's go and capture Chu Chuluo's son. I want to take Chu Chuluo's son away in front of the Chu family and anger old ghost Chu Tianming to death. Zhang Kui sneered and headed straight for the small courtyard. Dong Qian followed closely behind. Chu Zan sighed. Is everyone from the heretic cult crazy? They kept sneaking into the territory, but if they wanted to cause trouble, then they should go cause trouble. Why did they always have to target him before they went over to cause trouble? If these two people went to cause trouble, Chu Zan would still have not left the courtyard, so he naturally would not have been able to make a move to stop them. However, these two people just had to target him. They were courting death. Zhang Kui's strength was at the initial stage of the 9th level of the Void Realm, which was naturally nothing to the current Chu Zan. However, it had only been a short while, and the strength of the invaders had soared once again. Would it be the evil Imperial Court's Unity stage powerhouse that attacked the next time? Chu Zan felt pressured. He had to live in seclusion for at least a year, so he had to try his best not to kill these two people. The soul seed seal was about to come in handy again. Zhang Kui and Dong Qian entered the courtyard and saw Chu Zan. Without saying anything, Zhang Kui directly made a move. As soon as he made his move, the surrounding environment changed. Flames surged, huge trees towered into the sky, and stone boulders rolled around. Huge waves surged up into the sky, and sharp blades swept across the landscape. Not good. Zhang Kui was horrified. Evil energy surged through his body, and he was just about to activate the bead and escape. However, a huge palm swept over, and illusion and reality fused together with heaven and earth to form a seal. No matter how hard Zhang Kui struggled, he was still held tightly within the palm. The bones in his body emitted cracking sounds, and a sense of life and death crisis filled his heart. Unity Realm. There was a Unity Realm expert in the Chu family. Who was it? Zhang Kui was overwhelmed with shock. He tried to activate the spatial escape bead in a hurry, but the spiritual energy in his body had been sealed and his spiritual will was suppressed. He did not even have the slightest chance of escaping. He felt despair. Chapter 22. Subduing Zhang Kui. Pa. Zhang Kui knelt in front of Chu Zan. It's you. Looking at Chu Zan who was sitting on the reclining chair, Zhang Kui could not believe his eyes. Was this young man the one who attacked just now? He looked a little like Chu Chuluo. Was he not Chu Chuluo's useless son? Was such a young Unity Realm expert a useless person? Beside him, Dong Qian's face was swollen and he had fainted on the ground. On his head, there was a silly and cute-looking cat. The moment Dong Qian entered the courtyard, he felt his shoulder weighed down as something jumped onto his shoulder. He was so scared that his hair stood on end. Before he could react, he felt a small, fleshy paw slap his face repeatedly at an extremely fast speed. It slapped both sides of his face. He fell to the ground in a daze. He did not dare to move. He did not even dare to activate the spatial escape bead. He cursed Zhang Kui in his heart. He just had to insist on breaking into the Chu family's territory. Was he going to die now? Chu Zan sighed gloomily and asked, "Are you cultists all mentally ill? Why do you insist on targeting me? Is it because my father is Chu Chuluo?" Zhang Kui wanted to cry, but had no tears to do so. Under normal circumstances, he would naturally not have paid any attention to a piece of trash among the direct descendants of the Chu family. However, his father was Chu Chuluo, which was why it was different. Dmn it, your father was already a monstrous expert, and now his son is even more ridiculous. What status do you have in the cult? 9th level of the Void Realm, and your strength isn't bad either. Chu Zan asked curiously. A 9th level Void Realm martial artist was considered a true peak expert in the Qin Kingdom, and this person ought to be an important figure in the cult. If he killed him, the cult would surely send an even stronger expert after they discovered his demise. How troublesome. He only wanted to stay in seclusion and become stronger peacefully, yet why was there so much nonsense hindering him from doing so? Zhang Kui felt that he ought to put up a strong front rather than lower his head to a young man, as doing so would be beneath his dignity. Suddenly, he saw a small tree swiftly crawling over using its roots. It seemed to indicate that it was very interested in him. He panicked. How could a tree that could walk be simple? I'm Zhang Kui, the first vice-sect leader of the Qin Kingdom's cult. Chu Zan's eyes lit up. His status isn't low at all. He formed a plan in his heart and decided to control Zhang Kui, the first vice-sect leader. With his status in the cult, he could naturally order the cult to stop harassing him. Moreover, with him acting as a high-level spy in the cult, if the evil imperial court made any moves, he would be able to be notified in advance. Don't be afraid. I, Chu Zan, wouldn't even kill a chicken, so why would I kill you? Zhang Kui's body trembled, and his heart became even more panicked. Anyone who said such words was not a good person. He still remembered that Chu Chuluo had said something similar back then, but, in the blink of an eye, he had massacred dozens of cultists. His son was the same. His life was at stake here. Zhang Kui broke out in cold sweat. He wanted to put up a desperate struggle, but he could not move at all. Cultists were brutal, but not all of them were unafraid of death. Zhang Kui happened to be one who was afraid of death. The first vice-sect leader might be a valuable asset. It would be a pity to kill him, Chu Zan said to himself. Dong Qian, who was pretending to be unconscious, suddenly trembled when he heard that Zhang Kui, the vice-sect leader, was valuable and that it would be a pity to kill him. In that case, would he be the one killed instead? Young Master Chu, I am the branch leader of the cult in Chu County. I am also someone of value. He hurriedly opened his mouth to speak. His cowardly actions left Chu Zan speechless. Zhang Kui cursed in his heart. This spineless thing, no wonder the Chu County branch had suffered such heavy losses. Chu Zan directly used the soul seed seal to control the two people. Zhang Kui and Dong Qian immediately turned respectful. Deep in their hearts, they were afraid, but they could not even form any thoughts of resistance or disobedience. From this moment on, they were Chu Zan's loyal servants, the kind that would never betray him. After understanding the purpose behind Zhang Kui and Dong Qian's incursion, Chu Zan was speechless. Were it not for him, the Chu family would have been thrown into chaos countless times. Please calm your cult members down. Don't keep sending people over to disturb the Chu family, got it? Yes, master. I will definitely restrain the cult members. If anyone disobeys the order, I will kill them. Zhang Kui's speech was accompanied by awe-inspiring killing intent. You are the first vice-sect leader. Work hard and strive to become the sect leader of the cult in the Qin Kingdom. The best way to resolve the problem of the cult's harassment was naturally to control the cult itself. Zhang Kui was the first vice-sect leader and, under the right circumstances, had the chance to become the sect leader. However, the cult was also divided into factions. It would not be easy for Zhang Kui to become the sect leader just because he wanted to. One had to know that the sect leader of the cult in a country would have the support of the experts of the evil imperial court behind him. If Zhang Kui wanted to become the sect leader, he had to obtain the support of the experts of the evil imperial court as well as defeat the current sect leader. Only then would he be able to replace the sect leader. Chu Zan was not in a hurry. With Zhang Kui's current position as the first vice sect leader, he was already capable of doing many things. The operation against the Chu family could be temporarily brought to an end. As long as he had enough time to develop in seclusion, when he broke through to the Emperor realm, Chu Zan would not be afraid of even the evil king of the evil imperial court coming to attack him. There was no Emperor realm expert in the southern region. How much do you know about Black Moon Tower? Chu Zan paid more attention to Black Moon Tower. They were all over the south region and had a wide network of businesses and clients. They were not afraid of any force in the southern region either. It could even be said that they were the strongest force in the southern region. Black Moon Tower can be found almost everywhere. Even our cult's secret operations cannot be hidden from them. It is very likely that Black Moon Tower has a treasured artifact that can spy on others and obtain intelligence. Zhang Kui said respectfully. He was also very wary of Black Moon Tower. No matter how careful the cult was, as long as they stayed in a certain place for a little too long, they would be discovered by Black Moon Tower. Moreover, it is said that the strongest person in the Qin kingdom is not the one from the Qin royal family, but rather a mysterious expert from the branch of Black Moon Tower in the Qin kingdom. Zhang Kui continued. The power Black Moon Tower possessed was quite interesting. They boasted about their credibility, but were also black-hearted. Chu Zan had some ideas and plans regarding Black Moon Tower. However, he first needed to be strong enough before he could even consider carrying them out. At this moment, Chu Zan sensed a powerful aura emerging from within the Chu family's territory. Chu Tianming, it seemed that he had just rushed back in a hurry. Did he receive information about Zhang Kui's attack? You guys should go. You should know what to do, right? If I need you to do anything, I'll let you know. Chu Zan threw out 2 jade talismans. Take them, they can help you avoid detection. I want to see if Black Moon Tower can really detect everything. The 2 jade talismans were concealing talismans that he had received as a reward from the system. Thank you, Master. Zhang Kui and Dong Qian were extremely shocked. These were actually jade talismans. In the entire southern region, jade talismans were mostly found in historical sites and were extremely rare. Almost all of them were in the hands of the various top powers. Although Black Moon Tower sold them, the price for one was astronomical and they could never have afforded one. After activating the jade talismans, Zhang Kui and Dong Qian disappeared and silently left the Chu family's territory. Chu Zan sensed that Chu Tianming was patrolling the ancestral grounds. He smiled and returned to his room to sleep. After subduing Zhang Kui, he would at least be safe for a period of time. There would no longer be any heretics coming over to harass him. You did not leave seclusion but managed to subdue an expert from the heretic cult. You have been rewarded with 10 years worth of cultivation as well as the heavenly golden divine eyes. Bang! A surge of energy and comprehension filled his mind and body. Chu Zan's strength rose steadily. 2nd level of the Unity Realm. 3rd level of the Unity Realm. His strength did not stop rising until he achieved the 8th level. Chapter 23. There has been another mistake. Chu Zan felt his strength increase, and he now felt even more confident. If a few more cult experts come, he hurriedly extinguished this inappropriate thought. He could not be distracted. He had to remain steady. Only by being steadfast could he stay in seclusion for a long time, and only then would he be strong enough to guarantee his own safety. He could not take risks. The strength of the attackers in the future would be even stronger, so it would be terrible if he gave up his stable, secluded lifestyle for a moment's glory. Therefore, he had to remain stable and keep his imagination from running wild. Chu Zan also received the heavenly golden divine eyes. This was a mysterious eye that had the ability to see through illusions and pry into the laws of heaven and earth. Other than that, it also had the ability to attack. It could shoot out 2 rays of heavenly golden light with astonishing power. One could really kill people with their eyes. Chu Zan lay on the bed, feeling rather good as he quietly cultivated the 100 tempering divine technique. Chu Tianming carried the treasured artifact and patrolled the ancestral grounds. The other family elders were all alarmed as well. Zhang Kui was very powerful. If an ordinary family elder encountered him, they would definitely not be his match. Chu Tianming personally patrolled the area. Once he encountered Zhang Kui, he would immediately try to kill him. After obtaining the information from Wan Chong, he had immediately rushed over to Zhang Kui's hiding place, but he did not find any traces of the cult. At that time, he was extremely angry. What was going on with Wan Chong? Was the information wrong again? Was this information from Black Moon Tower also not true? He had to get his crystals back. He had rushed back to Chu County's capital with a dark look on his face. It can't be wrong, Wan Chong said calmly. You have to understand that Zhang Kui is a living, sentient person. Perhaps when you rushed over, he just happened to leave. There is always a certain amount of delay when it comes to transmitting information. I can't provide you with real-time updates. Chu Tianming sneered. Did your Black Moon Tower sell the information that I went to kill him to him as well? Black Moon Tower was a black-hearted organization. They could and probably would do such a thing. As long as the price was right, any information could be bought. Our Black Moon Tower always acts in a trustworthy manner. You bought intelligence from us, so the intelligence on your actions can only be sold after a day's interval. Wan Chong reminded him with a smile. Brother Chu, Zhang Kui suddenly left, and his hiding place is not far from the Chu family's territory. Aren't you worried about where he will go? Chu Tianming's expression changed. He had been careless. He was so focused on finding trouble with Wan Chong that he had neglected Zhang Kui's possible actions. If the information is wrong again, Brother Wan, you have to give me an explanation. Chu Tianming hurriedly rushed back to the Chu family's territory. Wan Chong smiled with a confident expression, and he muttered to himself, how could the information be wrong? The information of my Black Moon Tower has always been true and reliable, and it has never been false, and we have never lied. A strange bird that was the size of a thumb suddenly flew into the room. It emitted weak spiritual fluctuations. Wan Chong suddenly laughed. It seems that Zhang Kui was indeed prepared to charge into the Chu family's territory. The fact that he possessed the spatial escape bead and had broken through to the 9th level of the Void Realm seemed to have given Zhang Kui a great deal of confidence. The Chu family's territory was about to descend into chaos and, if they were careless, 1 or 2 Void Realm elders might even die. Wan Chong calmly waited for Chu Tianming to return and angrily try to purchase information from him while swearing to kill Zhang Kui. Wan Chong was already prepared to ask for an exorbitant price. 1 day later, as expected, Chu Tianming angrily appeared. Wan Chong brewed a pot of tea with a smile on his face. He was ready to rip off the Chu family at any moment. After ripping off the Chu family, his performance would definitely be rewarded by the higher-ups and might even be promoted soon. Tower Lord Wan, do you think that I'm easy to bully? Or do you want to throw the reputation of Black Moon Tower into the pits? Unexpectedly, Chu Tianming was indeed angry, but it was not because of Zhang Kui's incursion. Wan Chong was stunned and said with a dark expression, Patriarch Chu, what do you mean? What do you mean? You took 1 million crystals from me, and the information you provided was wrong. Not once, but twice. Chu Tianming said angrily. He had been patrolling the family's territory last night, guarding against a possible attack by Zhang Kui. After daybreak, he went over to Zhang Kui's hiding place, but also did not find him there. Zhang Kui had never appeared. Impossible, Wan Chong said in a deep voice. The information of our Black Moon Tower has always been trustworthy. How could it be wrong again and again? It can't be wrong. Chu Tianming sneered. Where is Zhang Kui? He didn't go to the hiding place you provided, and he didn't break into our Chu family's territory. Where is he then? He didn't break into your Chu family's territory. Wan Chong was stunned. How could it be? Zhang Kui bringing Dong Qian to barge into the Chu clan's territory was true and unmistakable information. Are you sure? I personally patrolled the whole territory for an entire night, so what do you think? Chu Tianming was extremely angry. Tower Lord Wan, since the information was wrong, shouldn't the spirit crystals be returned? Family leader Chu, please wait a moment. Wan Chong felt a headache coming on. What was going on with Zhang Kui? Was he not supposed to barge into the Chu family's territory? Could it be that he got cold feet at the last minute? It did not make sense. He had already broken through to the 9th level of the Void Realm, and he possessed the spatial escape bead, so even if he encountered Chu Tianming, he would still be able to escape. Given his arrogant personality, how could he admit to being scared? Wan Chong immediately contacted the intelligence manager of Black Moon Tower. Where is Zhang Kui? I don't know. You're telling me you don't know. You'll have to bear the responsibility for making mistakes time and time again. Wan Chong roared. I really don't know. The person in charge of the intelligence said aggrievedly. Zhang Kui clearly went to the Chu family's territory last night, but since then, we still haven't discovered his whereabouts until now. It's almost like he disappeared into thin air. In preparation to rip off Chu Tianming, the person in charge of the intelligence department had paid close attention to Zhang Kui's whereabouts. Once Chu Tianming came to purchase the intelligence, he would then be able to provide it immediately. Moreover, Zhang Kui should have intruded into the Chu family's territory and killed the elders of the Chu family. He would have definitely run away immediately and would not remain in one place. The information about his whereabouts could then be divided into several parts and sold accordingly. The service of providing real-time information was expensive. This would be explained to the head of the Chu family. Then, in his rage, and for the sake of avenging the Chu family, he definitely would not be stingy with the price of the information. However, in the end, traces of Zhang Kui's whereabouts had completely disappeared. Even if he used the Black Moon Tower's precious artifact to search for traces, he had still been unable to detect anything. Zhang Kui's was strong and, given that he was at the 9th level of the Void Realm, it was understandable if he somehow had a way to avoid detection. However, why was even Dong Qian able to avoid detection? The two of them seemed to have vanished into thin air. Use manpower and investigate them for me. Find his whereabouts as soon as possible. Wan Chong ordered. He rubbed his forehead. What exactly was going on? Why did that B***starred Zhang Kui not break into the Chu family's territory? His performance had been excellent so far, and he even had a chance of being promoted. However, how could he be promoted if the news of this misinformation got out? He had to appease Chu Tianming and keep him from making a fuss. Returning to the VIP room, he said with a smile, "Brother Chu, don't be so angry. How about this? I have already given the order to investigate Zhang Kui's whereabouts. Tower Lord Wan, Zhang Kui is cunning. Black Moon Tower has already repeatedly made mistakes in providing intelligence, causing the Chu family to be unable to eliminate him in time. What do you think should be done about this?" Chu Tianming narrowed his eyes and said. Wan Chong cursed in his heart. However, for the sake of his future and the reputation of Black Moon Tower, he had to pay a price. This kind of thing had happened before. The reason why the reputation of Black Moon Tower had always been trustworthy was because, after making mistakes, they would make up for it in due time, and their customers were always very satisfied in the end. As for the customers who wanted to ask for too much in return, they had all turned into ashes in the end. Since the customers had turned into ashes, who would be aware that the reputation of the Black Moon Tower had problems? Chapter 24. Divine Replenishment Technique and Truth Mantra. Everyone knew how powerful Black Moon Tower was, so customers would rarely ask for too much. Chu Tianming knew the rules of Black Moon Tower, and he also knew that Black Moon Tower valued reputation highly. If he did not take advantage of this opportunity, when would he ever have the opportunity to do so again? Wan Chong wanted to be promoted, so this stain on his record had to be covered up and washed away. Wan Chong had no choice but to act according to the rules of Black Moon Tower. Brother Chu, don't worry. Zhang Kui won't be allowed to live. Since the Chu family has entrusted Black Moon Tower with helping remove Zhang Kui, the Black Moon Tower will definitely help the Chu family get rid of him. Wan Chong said with a straight face. Tasking them with killing Zhang Kui was not too much to ask in terms of compensation, so Wan Chong agreed to the request. Zhang Kui was not weak, and he had the spatial escape pearl, so it was not easy to kill him. Possessing the spatial escape pearl did not mean that he would necessarily be able to escape with his life. After activating it once, he would need to wait 15 minutes before he could activate it a second time. As long as he caught up to Zhang Kui in time after the first activation of the spatial escape pearl, it would not be difficult to kill him. Given the means available to Black Moon Tower, it would not be a problem to track and surround him within those 15 minutes. Then I'll wait for the good news from Tower Lord Wan. Chu Tianming squinted his eyes and said. 3 days later. Where is he? No, I don't know. Wan Chang's expression was unsightly. Chu Tianming's expression was strange. Had the intelligence-gathering capabilities of Black Moon Tower deteriorated? Could they not even find Zhang Kui's whereabouts? Even if he could not be killed, Black Moon Tower would at least be able to find him, right? Tower Lord Wan, are you toying with me? Brother Chu, don't misunderstand. I've already given the order to investigate. Regardless of life or death, we will obtain accurate information for you. Wan Chong had a helpless expression on his face. He cursed inwardly. What was up with this B***starred Zhang Kui? Did he really disappear into thin air? Even if he died, the Black Moon Tower would still be able to obtain information of his death. Someone who could kill Zhang Kui silently had to be at least at the 2nd or 3rd level of the Unity Realm. Faced with a 1st-level Unity Realm expert, Zhang Kui would be able to struggle for a moment or two, so there would be a chance to activate the escape pearl. Although escaping 100 li may be insufficient to guarantee that his safe escape when faced with a strong opponent, but Black Moon Tower would at least be able to find out information if that had happened. Anyone who could kill him without a trace had to be at least at the second level of the Unity Realm. However, if Zhang Kui was vigilant enough, when faced with an impending crisis, he would have still made preparations to delay his demise and activate the pearl. Therefore, if an expert was to Zhang Kui silently and directly, to the point that he would not have the chance to activate the spatial escape pearl, such an expert would have to be at least at the third level of the Unity Realm. In the Qin Kingdom, there was only one expert at the third level of the Unity Realm and above. He was an expert that belonged to Black Moon Tower and was in charge of the Qin Kingdom. Was Zhang Kui dead or alive? Wan Chong felt a headache coming on. What kind of nonsense was this? It seemed that ever since they had involved themselves in the matter between the Chu family and the cult, everything had started to go wrong for him. Tower Lord Wan, it has been 3 days and there has been no news at all. Should I be doubting the intelligence-gathering capabilities of Black Moon Tower, or should I be doubting your ability? Chu Tianming was also puzzled. Could Zhang Kui actually avoid the detection of Black Moon Tower? If that was really the case, Zhang Kui was a threat. Wan Chong said with a dark face, "Brother Chu, don't worry. The intelligence-gathering capabilities of Black Moon Tower are unique. My ability is naturally not bad either. Then I'll wait another day." Wan Chong once again urged the person in charge of the intelligence department. "Where is Zhang Kui? No matter whether he's dead or alive, we must find an explanation. I think there's a high probability that Zhang Kui is dead." "Are you sure?" 80% sure. "What if he's not dead?" "I'll make sure again." A day later, Wan Chong said with a straight face, "Brother Chu, according to reliable intelligence sources, Zhang Kui is dead." Chu Tianming was surprised. "Are you sure? Who killed him?" "The information from Black Moon Tower won't be wrong. There's a high chance that he was killed by an expert from the Qin Kingdom." Wan Chong said with a straight face. There was a high chance that Zhang Kui was dead. Even if he was not dead, as long as he appeared, Black Moon Tower would kill him immediately. As such, in his eyes, the information from Black Moon Tower was not wrong. If they said he was dead, he had to be dead. Even if he was not dead yet, as long as he dared to show his face, he would then be killed. Chu Tianming looked at him with suspicion. "Regarding Brother Chu's purchase of the information, I can personally accept a mission from Brother Chu as personal compensation." "How about that?" Wan Chong would provide compensation for the information that was wrong. It was not included in the records of Black Moon Tower, but came from his own account. In that case, Black Moon Tower's information would not be considered wrong. If Chu Tianming agreed, then Wan Chong would owe him a favor. Since Brother Wan has said so, then I won't pursue the matter. However, I want to entrust Brother Wan with the task of investigating the whereabouts of my son Chuluo. Chu Tianming said seriously. This was why he had been adamantly following up on Zhang Kui's matter. Otherwise, he might as well have directly sold off Wan Cheng's favor. Would that not have been more profitable? He wanted to use Black Moon Tower's information-gathering capabilities to investigate Chu Chuluo's whereabouts. No problem, I will use my personal identity to request Black Moon Tower to pay attention to this matter. Once there is any news, I will inform Brother Chu immediately. Every Black Moon Tower Lord could send a request to Black Moon Tower's intelligence network 3 times every 10 years to investigate and track down the status of a person. Wan Chong would use this benefit to help Chu Tianming find Chu Chuluo's whereabouts. It could be considered as making up for the mistake in the information provided previously. "Thank you, Brother Wan." Chu Tianming cupped his hands. You stayed in seclusion and did not leave the courtyard. Thanks to your small actions, Black Moon Tower, who are known for their accurate information, made several errors in the provision of intelligence to their customers. You are rewarded with the divine replenishment technique and the truth mantra. Chu Zan was lying on the reclining chair while reading a miscellaneous book in his hand. The system's reward had appeared out of the blue. He was stunned. What did he do? His actions resulted in Black Moon Tower's information being false. He immediately tried to recall the relevant information. Could it be related to Zhang Kui's matter? He deliberately gave Zhang Kui a concealing talisman to test Black Moon Tower. It should be this exact action that caused Black Moon Tower to provide incorrect information about Zhang Kui. Therefore, it could be concluded that Black Moon Tower was not omnipotent, and not all information could be found by them. He had obtained the divine replenishment technique and the truth mantra. The divine replenishment technique was a powerful secret technique that could repair one's damaged soul. It was an extremely powerful soul-type recovery technique. Not only could it repair one's own damaged soul, but it could also heal the damaged souls of others. In terms of rank, it had already surpassed the level of the great Luo Emperor scripture. Above Emperor-level scriptures were the heaven-level scriptures, and above the heaven-level scriptures were the divine ones. This divine replenishing technique belonged to a class of secret techniques that were of the same level as other divine techniques. The truth mantra was also a secret technique of the same level. Forcing others to speak the truth was only a small part of this technique. The true core of the technique was the ability to turn words into truth. Truth from a single sentence. It was a secret technique that pointed directly to the great Tao of heaven and earth. Given Chu Xuan's current cultivation realm, even if he comprehended the truth mantra with the help of the system, he would still be able to reach the level of turning words into truth. He would not be able to kill the enemy with a single word, break through all techniques with a single word, or even achieve the truth with a single word. He could only use the technique in a way that made people spit out the truth. Regardless, obtaining two secret techniques at once made Chu Xuan extremely happy. As expected, being in seclusion was the best, and there were also a lot of fun things to be discovered. You are in a happy mood. After comprehending the benefits of seclusion, and that there are all sorts of fun to be discovered within, you have received the reward of the 7-colored divine light. Another reward appeared. Chu Xuan was overjoyed. Today was a good day. He had actually triggered a random reward from the system. Chapter 25. Enlightenment Tea. Chu Xuan received the 7-colored divine light, and it immediately covered his body, making him look like an immortal god. The 7-colored divine light unparalleled defensive capabilities. It would defend against physical, as well as soul-based, attacks. Moreover, once the 7-colored divine light was activated, his entire body would be bathed in the divine light. He would appear mysterious, powerful, and divine, just like a legendary divine being. Chu Xuan was very satisfied. With the 7-colored divine light on his body, he was unparalleled in terms of acting cool. Although he did not want to go out right now, there would always be a chance to act cool later. Moreover, once he became invincible, he naturally had to go out and have fun. Would he then not have the chance to act cool? How comfortable. Chu Xuan stretched his limbs and continued to read. This miscellaneous book recorded many strange things in the southern region, including the miserable life of a particular evil king of the evil imperial court. This evil king had once castrated himself in order to master a powerful cultivation technique when he was young. After he had successfully cultivated it, he had wanted to seek revenge on his enemy. In the end, he sadly discovered that the cultivation technique mastered by his enemy was even more powerful than his. Not to mention that his enemy had not even needed to castrate himself. His enemy was even happily married to the woman he loved. The evil king's mind was thrown into chaos. He became mad and twisted. In the end, he actually sacrificed 1 million people in order to recover his male organs. It was said that the blood devil technique that was passed down in the evil imperial court was created by this evil king. He used this powerful devil technique to restore his male organs, kill his enemies, and take back the woman he once loved. In the end, after the woman was taken back by him, she said coldly and disdainfully, "Compared to him, you are just too soft and boring." After hearing these words, the evil king went mad on the spot and died just like that. Chu Xuan clicked his tongue in wonder. The life of that evil king was truly tragic. In the evening, a steward arrived from the ancestral residence. 13th young master, the patriarch wishes for you to return to the ancestral residence. Chu Xuan was stunned. What was going on with this cheap grandfather of his, Chu Tianming? Why did he suddenly want him to return to the ancestral residence? Did Chu Yun plead for mercy on his behalf? No, she was still breaking through to the 3rd level of the profound realm and had not left closed-door cultivation yet, right? It was impossible for her to have returned to the ancestral residence. I'm not going back. I'm living very comfortably here. Chu Xuan refused him flatly. What kind of joke was this? He had been staying in the courtyard for almost a year. If he returned now, would not the record of staying in the courtyard for so long be wasted? The living area of this house was bound to this courtyard. If he wanted to bind it to another place after he left, and the system said that it had a cooldown period, how would he then become stronger quickly? The steward was stunned. He had not expected Chu Xuan to refuse. Was the 13th young master acting up in a fit of rage? That had to be it. After being chased out of the ancestral residence by the patriarch, he was consumed by anger and would not return easily. 13th Young Master, the Patriarch said that he will overlook your past mistakes. You can return to the ancestral residence and live there. Go away. I said that I'm not going back. It's more comfortable here. Chuzan waved his hand and said impatiently. The steward had no choice but to go back and report this to Chu Tianming. Without Chu Tianming's order, he did not dare to forcefully bring him back. You refused to return to the ancestral residence and chose to continue staying here. You've been rewarded with a box of enlightenment tea. A random reward from the system had made its appearance again. Chuzan was overjoyed and examined the details of the enlightenment tea. Enlightenment tea could help cultivators comprehend the true meaning of heaven and earth and break through the bottleneck of the truth realm. The truth realm was about comprehending the true meaning of heaven and earth. Therefore, it was not easy to break through the truth realm. It was easy to reach the unity realm, but difficult to break through to the truth realm. The reason behind this was because, in order to break through to the truth realm, one had to comprehend the true meaning of heaven and earth. Only by grasping this strand of true meaning could one break through the truth realm. The spirit realm was about spiritual power taking form and displaying a certain degree of control. The void realm was about merging one's spiritual power and spiritual will with the void, allowing them to fuse and become formless and concealed. The unity realm was about the transformation of spiritual power and spiritual will, and fusing and sublimating void and reality. This was the unity realm. And the truth realm was the comprehension of the true meaning of heaven and earth. The transformation of spiritual power and spiritual will into reality. A streak of spiritual power could be turned into a rabbit. It looked entirely real and not fake, and did not appear to have been constructed from spiritual power. This was the comprehension of true meaning. To reach this step, one needed both extremely high innate talent as well as comprehension ability. Many people were considered elites until they reached the unity realm. Their journey was smooth and without hindrance, and they cultivated to the unity realm very quickly. However, they became stuck at the threshold of the truth realm, and were unable to advance an inch. Countless people had been stuck at the unity realm for their entire lives and were unable to comprehend true meaning and break through to the truth realm. The enlightenment tea could help people comprehend the true meaning of heaven and earth. It was obvious how precious it was. Any treasure that could help people comprehend true meaning was very rare and precious. Once one entered the truth realm, their strength would undergo a tremendous transformation. A single strand of spiritual power could easily be turned into an object and be used to kill a unity realm expert. It was no exaggeration to say that even 10 peak unity realm experts would not be able to defeat a truth realm expert. Chuzan was already at the 8th level of the unity realm, and he was about to enter the 9th level. No matter how confident he was, it would have taken him more time to break through to the truth realm. However, with the enlightenment tea, he could greatly shorten the time needed to break through. In fact, with the help of a cup of tea, he could even break through to the 9th level of the unity realm. Chuzan was elated and immediately brewed a pot of tea for himself. No one could force him to leave this small courtyard. It was impossible for him to return to the ancestral residence. Chu Tianming flew into a rage. After he returned from the Black Moon Tower, he found that he dearly missed his third son, Chu Chuluo. He thought that no matter what, Chuzan was still his third son's only son, so he softened his heart and asked someone to bring him back. In the end, Chuzan did not appreciate his kindness and was actually unwilling to come back in a fit of rage. Don't bother about him, he likes to stay there, right? Then just let him be. Chu Tianming was so angry that he smashed his teacup to the ground. Chuzan did not care about whether Chu Tianming had flown into a rage or whether he smashed the teacup to the ground. After all, it was best if he did not allow Chuzan to return to the ancestral residence. After drinking a cup of tea, many profound concepts suddenly became clear in his mind. He closed his eyes and savored the comprehension effect of the enlightenment tea. His strength, which was originally at the 8th level of the unity realm, slowly rose and he broke through to the 9th level of the unity realm. After putting down the teacup, Chuzan even managed to gain some comprehension regarding the true meaning of heaven and earth. He believed that, by drinking a pot of true enlightenment tea every day and comprehending the true meaning of heaven and earth, it would not be a difficult thing for him to break through to the truth realm before the 1-year period arrived. A few days later, Chu Yun successfully broke through to the 3rd level of the profound realm and left her closed-door cultivation. The moment she came out of seclusion, the first thing she did was to come over to the small courtyard. She flipped through the insights that Chuzan had prepared for her and said with a sigh, "Third uncle is indeed worthy of being the person who suppressed the cultivators of Qin Kingdom with his strength." 13th brother, you have to work hard in your cultivation. You can't be so lazy. You shouldn't besmirch third uncle's reputation. Turning back to look at Chu Zan, who was lying lazily on the reclining chair, Chu Yun said with a frown. You wouldn't understand. It's really comfortable to live like this. It's so boring to work hard and cultivate every day. Chu Zan poured himself another cup of tea and replied while tasting it. Come over and try this tea. The enlightenment tea could be drunk at any realm. It could lay the foundation for comprehending the true meaning of heaven and earth in advance. Chu Yun took a sip of the tea, and she found it fragrant and delicious. It was much more delicious than any tea she had ever drunk. Moreover, her mind became clear, and it seemed as if she could vaguely comprehend some things in her mind. This tea, Chu Yun drank the whole cup of tea, and her eyes lit up. This tea is so delicious. It also seems to have some other special effects. I feel that my whole body is much more energetic now. Chapter 26, Truth Realm, Materialization of Power into Reality. This was left behind by my father, so it's naturally not just any ordinary tea. Chu Zan lied through his teeth. As long as he said it was left behind by his father, no one would doubt him. His father was indeed a figure that had suppressed all his peers. So it was left behind by third uncle. No wonder. Chu Yun was enlightened. Chu Chuluo was a legendary figure. This was why, when most people saw Chu Zan, their first thought was that a tiger father had begotten a dog son. After a period of time, the Chu family had become very peaceful. The cult seemed to have stopped its movements for a while, and most of their forces in Chu County had retreated. There was still no news of Zhang Kui. It seemed that he really was dead. Only Wan Chong was aware that the B***-starred Zhang Kui had once appeared briefly. The experts of Black Moon Tower had not been able to kill him during that brief moment. He had escaped. Moreover, he had once again lost track of Zhang Kui. Fortunately, he had not announced to the public that Zhang Kui was dead. He had only told that to Chu Tianming once. Therefore, even if Zhang Kui really reappeared, no one would suspect that Black Moon Tower's intelligence had been wrong. This was because Black Moon Tower had never officially said that Zhang Kui was dead. As for Chu Tianming, he had offered to use his quota for Black Moon Tower's intelligence network for his sake to investigate Chu Chuluo's whereabouts. As such, Chu Tianming would not do anything that would jeopardize the current situation. You've been in seclusion for 10 months. You've been rewarded with the Mystic Fire Bell. The Mystic Fire Bell was a low-grade Emperor artifact. It contained mystic fire that could burn the sky and boil the earth, and its power was unparalleled. Chu Zan had obtained yet another Emperor artifact. The longer he remained in seclusion, the more generous the rewards became. The levels of the rewards even became higher as well. The worst reward he was likely to receive for a year of seclusion was a heaven-level scripture. Perhaps he might even receive a divine-level scripture or something above it. Chu Zan was full of expectation. During this period of time, Chu Yun often came to the courtyard. Every time she flipped through the books, she would gain a different understanding of the concepts within. Every time she would sigh, "Third uncle really is a genius." Chu Zan smiled but would not say anything. She drank the enlightenment tea every day. There would basically be no hindrances when Chu Yun attempted to break through to the truth realm. She had outstanding innate talent and had comprehended the true meaning of heaven and earth in advance. It was only a matter of time before she would break through to the truth realm. After a short period of time passed, Chu Yun was now not far from the 4th level of the profound realm. Chu Zan, on the other hand, had already touched upon the threshold of the truth realm. He would definitely break through to the truth realm within half a month at most. There were a few more potted plants in the courtyard. These had all been brought over by Chu Yun. She felt that the courtyard was too monotonous. There was only a cat and a strange little tree. It was very uninteresting, so she planted some spiritual flowers in pots here. 13th brother, why haven't I seen you leave the courtyard before? Chu Yun asked in puzzlement. Despite having visited him repeatedly, and over a long period of time, Chu Zan had not left the yard once. Chu Tianming had only chased him out of the ancestral residence. He had not grounded him, so he was actually allowed to leave the courtyard. I'm cultivating. Chu Yun said in confusion, 13th brother, I haven't seen you cultivate, and your strength has not increased. You wouldn't understand. I'm cultivating the heart. Chu Zan replied with an unfathomable expression, the higher the state of the heart, the higher the cultivation strength. So, 13th brother, you're saying that because the state of your heart isn't high, that's why your strength is so weak. Chu Yun pondered. Is this the cultivation method that third uncle passed down? How strange. The corner of Chuzan's mouth twitched. In order to prevent her from forcing him to cultivate, he could only lie and say, yes, my father passed it down in secret. At the beginning, his strength appeared weak, but, once he comprehended it, he soared into the sky. Not everyone can cultivate this method. It's very harsh. That's why I didn't return to the ancestral residence. With this excuse, Chu Yun would not continue pestering him to return with her to the ancestral residence. I understand. Chu Yun nodded, and said with a serious face, I won't force 13th brother to return to the ancestral residence, and I won't allow anyone to disturb you. 10 days passed quickly. Chuzan had already stepped one foot into the truth realm. He would break through within the next 1 or 2 days. Chu Yun drank the enlightenment tea and flipped through the cultivation records. Her comprehension of the great Luo Emperor scripture was getting deeper and deeper, and she had half a foot into the 4th level of the profound realm. On this day, Chu Yun came over to bid farewell. She was going back to the ancestral residence to break through to the 4th level of the profound realm. Chu Tianming was very happy. He loved his granddaughter Chu Yun more and more. Even Chu Qing, whom he regarded as his successor to the patriarch position, could not compare to Chu Yun in terms of how much love and affection he displayed. Chu Tianming's heart was already moved. He no longer had the intention of marrying Chu Yun out. He directly ignored the Qin royal family's intention to seek her hand in marriage. Chu Zan was very clear that the Chu family, Zhao family, He family, and the Qin royal family had always been connected by marriage. The direct descendants of the 4 families were all married to each other. Thanks to this, the relationship between the 4 families was inseparable. He did not have a fiancé because his father, Chu Chuluo, had once broken the marriage contract. In addition, his talent was poor, so the other 3 families did not fancy him as a potential marriage candidate. Other than him, the other direct descendants basically all had marriage partners. Even if they had not been confirmed yet, the elders all had the same intention and would look for opportunities for these partners to nurture their feelings for each other. For example, Old Seventh's fiancé was He Weiwei. This pair could be considered to have already taken a liking to each other, and it was unlikely for their relationship to encounter any accidents. Chu Yun was still young, so naturally, her marriage had not been decided yet. Moreover, Chu Tianming was very fond of her, so he did not have any plans to have her married off for the time being. What Chu Zan wanted to do was to allow Chu Yun to gain enough power to control her own future. After staying in seclusion for 10 months and 15 days, the opportunity to break through to the truth realm finally arrived. Chu Zan sat cross-legged on the bed. The minor 5 elements array formation in the courtyard had been activated. Although his breakthrough speed was very fast, and he could stabilize his cultivation on the same day as his breakthrough, he activated the minor 5 elements array formation to guard against any untoward incidents, just in case. The spiritual power in his body surged and began to undergo a transformation. Wisps of spiritual will and spiritual power, as well as the comprehension of the truth realm, surfaced in his mind. The speed of transformation was not slow. 2 hours later, Chu Zan had already broken through to the truth realm. His spiritual power had been completely sublimated, and each wisp of spiritual power contained a wisp of spiritual will. After the breakthrough, Chu Zan's mind moved, and a wisp of spiritual power appeared. A little rabbit formed from spiritual power appeared beside him. The little rabbit looked no different from a real rabbit. There were no traces of spiritual power being condensed. Its eyes were bright and full of life. It opened its mouth and let out a cute little rabbit-like cry. Every hair on its body was exactly the same as a real one. Touching it, it felt furry, warm and alive. Cutting its leg, the little rabbit cried out in pain, jumped about and struggled, and bright red blood flowed out of the wound. Materialization of power into reality. This was the mark of a truth realm expert. For those below the truth realm, it was almost impossible to notice that this rabbit was something created from spiritual power. Chu Zan could not help but recall a record he read in a miscellaneous book. A certain truth realm master created thousands of pills from spiritual power and sold them to a certain sect. The sect master did not realize that they were fake. It was not until they found out that the pills could only increase spiritual power slightly and did not have any special effects that they discovered that they had been cheated. Of course, if the pills created from the spiritual power of a truth realm expert were not tampered with, martial artists below the truth realm could consume them to recover their spiritual power and even break through a small realm. With a thought from Chu Zan, little rabbits and cute kittens appeared in the courtyard one after the other. They were bouncing, lively and cute. Chapter 27. Myriad Spirits Scripture and Myriad Elixirs Scripture. You have remained in seclusion and have broken through to the truth realm. You have been rewarded with a pet sky-shaking golden rock. Another pet. Chuzan examined the information of the sky-shaking golden rock. Sky-shaking golden rock. An ancient godly beast with extreme speed. It can shake the 9 heavens above and split the 9 netherworlds below. After reading the introduction of sky-shaking golden rock, Chuzan could only say that it was awesome. It was indeed an ancient divine beast. He took out the sky-shaking golden rock. It was a valiant little eagle with golden claws, golden wings, and sharp eyes. Its strength was at the first level of the truth realm. However, it was only the size of a pigeon. It was still in its infant stage, and he did not know how many years it would take for it to grow to adulthood. Meow. The heavenly spirit cat jumped over and stared at the sky-shaking golden rock. The sky-shaking golden rock spread its wings and raised one of its claws to grab at the neck of the heavenly spirit cat. The cat's hair immediately stood on end. It let out a low roar and a surging pressure emerged. It had activated the power of the white tiger divine beast. However, the sky-shaking golden rock was not afraid. It tilted its head and appeared somewhat curious as to why this cat could release such power. The heavenly spirit cat's current strength was around the 3rd level of the unity realm. It was weaker than the sky-shaking golden rock, but since it also belonged to Chuzan, there would only be friendly fights and scars, but no life and death battles. After breaking through to the truth realm, Chuzan's confidence had increased greatly. He was one step closer to being invincible in the southern region. The heretic cult was nothing to worry about. The ordinary experts of the evil imperial court were also nothing to worry about. There was no emperor-level character in the southern region either. As long as he broke through to the emperor realm, he would be invincible in the southern region. He could then ignore the evil imperial court. Of course, the emperor realm was still rather insignificant elsewhere. He would only be able to dominate the southern region. Outside the southern region, on this vast continent, the emperor realm was nothing to shout about. After breaking through to the truth realm, one's cultivation would increase even more slowly. Chuzan was in no hurry and would patiently wait until a year of seclusion had passed. The reward for remaining in seclusion for a year would undoubtedly be generous. Perhaps the reward for remaining in seclusion for a year would allow him to directly break through to the emperor realm. As long as he broke through to the emperor realm, he would truly have nothing to fear in the southern region. The sky-shaking golden rock sat on a branch of the spirit-devouring flower and tilted its head to stare at it. It felt that this small tree was a bit extraordinary. As an ancient divine beast, it naturally had its pride. Those that could catch its eye were not ordinary things. Chu Yun was still in closed-door cultivation. Not everyone was like Chuzan, whereby breaking through was like drinking water and happened in an instant. For others, even breaking through a small realm would take at least a few days. After breaking through, they would still need to stabilize their cultivation. Looking at the potted plants in the courtyard, Chuzan felt that he had nothing to do. As such, he took out a pair of scissors and trimmed the leaves and branches of the potted plants. Such a laid-back lifestyle was indeed very comfortable. He just needed a beautiful maid to accompany him. No matter how beautiful the potted plants and flowers were, they could not compare to having a delicate beauty by his side. There were many beautiful maids in the Chu family, but none of them were talented. He did not want an ordinary maid. As such, he could only stay home alone for now. You pruned the potted plants and enjoyed yourself. You've been rewarded with the Myriad Spirits Scripture and the Myriad Elixirs Scripture. Chuzan paused. He had triggered a random reward again. Awesome. After trimming the potted plants, Chuzan sat on the reclining chair and checked out the system's reward. The Myriad Spirits Scripture recorded all the spiritual objects, heavenly materials and earthly treasures in the world. If one was familiar with the Myriad Spirits Scripture, one would be able to recognize any spiritual item in the world, any heavenly material or earthly treasure, even those extinct and extremely rare spiritual items. The Myriad Spirits Scripture recorded the effects and general uses of each spiritual item. In addition to the Myriad Spirits Scripture, he had received an alchemy scripture. It recorded countless pill formulas, as well as numerous alchemy methods that had been passed down throughout history. Both the lost pill formulas and the lost pill refinement methods could be found within its pages. Chuzan had received the Myriad Spirits and the Myriad Elixirs Scriptures. Both scriptures were not thick, but each page contained an enormous amount of information. This was a special method of recording information. The contents of each page could be scrolled down continuously. Other than words, there were also images and diagrams on each page. The pill refinement methods recorded in the myriad elixir scripture included not only the text notes, but also a process diagram of the pill refinement. Chuzan did not immediately ask the system to infuse the contents of the 2 books into his mind. Instead, he flipped through them leisurely. Reading the myriad spirits scripture was like reading a plant encyclopedia. It was just right to pass time with. Chuzan had read through most of the books in the Chu family, so the myriad spirits scripture and the myriad elixirs scripture could make up for his current lack of reading materials. It was the best way for him to pass the time. In any case, he could not utilize the myriad spirits and the myriad elixirs scriptures for the time being, so he was in no hurry to master them. He did not lack pills. He did not lack natural treasures either. Every day that he stayed in seclusion, the system would give him all kinds of rewards. Chuzan placed one of the pill refinement methods and a few pill formulas in the cultivation notes he had prepared for Chu Yun. Chuzan did not care whether Chu Yun was interested in the subject or whether she would learn it. He only needed to prepare things for her so that she could increase her own influence and voice in the family. That pill refining method was one of the top pill refining techniques in the southern region. After Chu Yun learned it, her status in the Chu family would surpass Chu Qing's and would be no lower than the head of the family. Moreover, the pill formulas that Chuzan had prepared for her included pills that would allow her to break through to the truth realm. Each pill could increase the chance of breaking through by 30 to 70%. Other than pills that could help her break through to the truth realm, there were also pills that could heal injuries, strengthen her spiritual will, and help her recover from mental injuries. If Chu Yun could refine these pills, the strength of the Chu family would increase by 30% within a short period of time. Once Chu Yun mastered those pill refining techniques, even if she actually did want to get married, Chu Tianming would beg her not to leave the Chu family. 3 days later, Chu Yun left closed-door cultivation. The first thing she did after she came out of closed-door cultivation was to come over to the small courtyard. She flipped through the cultivation notes again and discovered the alchemy technique. She was immediately shocked. There was actually an alchemy method to refine the profound void pills, which also included the recipe for the profound void pill. The profound void pill was extremely rare. In the entire southern region, there were only a few people who could refine the profound void pill. The Chu family had once thought of purchasing a profound void pill, but its price at the Black Moon Tower was too expensive. The Chu family would have to spend almost 1/3 of its reserves in order to purchase it. It was precisely because of this that they gave up on the idea of purchasing the profound void pill. If he had the profound void pill, Chu Tianming would have a chance of breaking through to the unity realm. This pill refinement method had been very casually placed inside a pile of notes, almost as if it held no value. Third uncle actually did not pass on this pill refinement technique to the family. Chu Yun was puzzled. If someone from the Chu family was in possession of this pill refinement technique, it would be enough to cause the Chu family's strength to soar. Moreover, after the Chu family could refine these pills themselves, there was no need for them to buy pills from others. In fact, they could even sell them to the market. No matter how she looked at it, this pill refinement technique was extremely important to the Chu family. Chu Yun could not understand why third uncle did not pass on this pill refinement technique to grandfather. Could it be that this pill refinement technique had unique origins? It had to be so. Chu Yun was conflicted. Should she learn it then? If this pill refinement technique were to be leaked, would it bring disaster to the Chu family? After hesitating for a long time, Chu Yun finally decided to learn it secretly. When she wanted to refine pills, she would do so secretly. As long as she did not refine pills on a large scale, and as long as it could be kept a secret, there would not be any trouble. After making up her mind, Chu Yun began to seriously study it. Chapter 28. Sending someone to his door. Chu Yun's actions naturally could not be concealed from Chuzan. After seeing Chu Yun's cautious appearance, Chuzan could not help but feel puzzled. Why was she being so secretive? After thinking about it for a moment, he immediately understood the reason and did not know whether to laugh or cry. That pill refinement technique was extremely extraordinary in the southern region. If it had really been left behind by Chu Chuluo, why was it not handed over to the Chu family? It had to be because there was something wrong with the origins of this pill refinement technique. Chuzan did not say anything. Her being more cautious was also a good thing. If news of it were to leak out, it would be troublesome if some of the major forces in the southern region targeted and attacked the Chu family because of it. He was only at the first level of the truth realm now. Once an expert attacked and revealed his cultivation level, how would he be able to keep a low profile and stay at home in peace? Over the next few days, Chu Yun fervently studied the pill refinement technique. Finally, after mastering both the pill formula and the pill refinement method, she decided to practice the pill refinement technique. In order to be cautious, she did not choose to refine pills inside the small courtyard. Instead, she planned to go out and temper herself. She wanted to leave the Chu family's territory and find a quiet place to practice it secretly. Before leaving, Chu Yun told Chu Zan about the pill refinement method and asked him to hide it well. Chu Zan did not know whether to laugh or cry. Seeing how cautious she was acting, he could only lie and say that he was already aware of the pill refinement technique. He told her that his father asked him to learn it, but he did not do so because he felt lazy. There was no problem with where the pill refinement technique came from. Although Chu Zan claimed that there were no problems with the origins of the pill refinement technique, Chu Yun still remained cautious. If news of it were to leak out, it would end up being coveted by the powerful forces of the southern region, which would land the Chu family in hot soup. Especially if she was targeted by the evil imperial court, the consequences would be unimaginable. If Chu Yun were to go out to temper herself, there would be experts from the Chu family protecting her in the dark. If she wanted to secretly refine pills, then she would have to send away the experts from the Chu family who were protecting her in the dark. Chu Zan gave her a few jade talismans. His excuse was once again that they had been left behind by his father and, since he did not need to go out and temper himself, he did not need them. Besides that, Chu Zan also used the soul seed seal to transmit his will to Zhang Kui, asking him to protect Chu Yun in the dark. Zhang Kui's strength was at the 9th level of the Void Realm and, under the control of the soul seed seal, he was absolutely loyal. In order to complete the mission of protecting Chu Yun's safety, he would not hesitate to sacrifice his own life. However, Zhang Kui was the first vice-sect leader of the heretic cult after all, and he had to pay attention to the matters of the cult at all times, and he might not be able to protect Chu Yun all the time. Dong Qian's strength was not weak, and so he was tasked with secretly protecting Chu Yun together with Zhang Kui. Combined, they would be able to ensure that nothing went wrong. In the Qin kingdom, other than the cult, no other forces dared to attack the direct descendants of the three aristocratic families. Chu Yun went out to train, and Chu Zan continued to stay in the courtyard. In this generation of direct descendants of the Chu family, apart from Chu Zan, no one else stayed in the family's territory. Old Seventh had gone to the He family. Chu Qing continued to chase after the cult while managing the affairs of Chu County. In an underground palace in the Purple Moon Kingdom, more than 10 heretic experts had gathered. The cult's vice-sect leader of the Purple Moon Kingdom, Yuan Chong, said with a gloomy face, "The right protector fell in the Chu County of the Qin Kingdom. This matter is inextricably related to the Chu family. Who will seek revenge for our Purple Moon Kingdom's heretic cult? Didn't the right protector fall in the internal strife of the cult in the Qin Kingdom?" An expert of the heretic cult asked doubtfully. Even so, who knows what truly happened then? Besides, were it not for the Chu family, would our cult have been reduced to this state? Yuan Chong said coldly. The Purple Moon Kingdom's cult had suffered heavy losses, with more than 10 elders falling in battle. Even the sect leader had suffered heavy injuries and had almost died. The source of this whole disaster was the Chu family's interference with the cult's plans. Naturally, they placed the blame squarely on the shoulders of the Chu family. Although the Chu family's overall strength is inferior to the Purple Moon Kingdom, it is not weak either. Moreover, the Qin Kingdom is not part of our territory. If we were to rashly head over there, I'm afraid that we might encounter some mishaps. An elder said with a frown. That's right, our main target is still the Purple Moon Kingdom. Many elders of the heretic cult agreed with his words. HMPH, how can we let the matter of the Chu family slide? Don't forget that the Chu family has sabotaged our many years of planning and preparation. Once the evil imperial court is free to act, they will not let the Chu family off either. Do we have to wait for the evil imperial court's orders before taking action? Yuan Chong snorted unhappily and said, "Moreover, we don't have to fight with the Chu family directly. I heard that Chu Chuluo's son has been expelled from their ancestral residence. Since we can't do anything to the Chu family for the time being, we can still vent our anger by capturing Chu Chuluo's son." An elder questioned, "Chu Chuluo's son has already been expelled from the ancestral residence. What's the point of capturing him?" "Idiot," Yuan Chong angrily rebuked the elder, "he is Chu Chuluo's son, not some random person's son. Even if he is trash, as long as he is Chu Chuluo's son, then his existence holds value. That's right, Chu Chuluo might not be dead. If one day Chu Chuluo returns, we will send his son over to the evil imperial court as a hostage. We can definitely restrain him from taking action that way. An elder agreed. In that case, I will make the trip. A skinny cult elder stood up and said. Yuan Chong and the other leaders present did not have any objections. Among the people present, the elder who volunteered was not the strongest, but he was definitely the best at escaping in stealth. Chu Zan was still in the courtyard, waiting patiently for the year of seclusion to arrive. The cult had not made any moves, and they did not continue to send their experts to infiltrate the Chu family's territory to kill and destroy. After breaking through to the Truth Realm, Chu Zan was much more confident. As long as he did not encounter an attack from the evil Imperial Court's experts, he would not be the slightest bit afraid. Given the overall level of strength in the Qin Kingdom, even if the evil Imperial Court sent experts over, it was unlikely that they would send over anyone who exceeded the Unity Realm. As such, Chu Zan was not worried at all. However, he still had to remain steadfast. Just when he thought that he could peacefully seclude himself for a year, another person sneaked into the Chu family's territory. It was another expert from the cult. His strength was at the 3rd level of the Void Realm, and he seemed like a senior figure among their elders. Chu Zan frowned. Why did Zhang Kui not send a message to him? The soul seed seal was able to transmit his spiritual will and, similarly, it possessed a certain ability to transmit messages. Sending over a simple warning was definitely possible. What surprised Chu Zan even more was that the cult elder that had concealed himself seemed to have come specifically for him. He did not seem to have any intention of infiltrating the core area of the Chu family. After identifying his surroundings, he made his way straight toward Chu Zan's courtyard. He directly entered the courtyard. Did he specifically come to deliver his head to the chopping board? When he saw Chu Zan, he asked, "Are you Chu Chuluo's son?" Chu Zan had a helpless look on his face. What was going on with that father of his? Why did everyone want to capture him just because he was Chu Chuluo's son? That's right, Chu Zan admitted it openly. Then I've got the right person. Lu Yuan did not say anything further and raised his hand to grab Chu Zan. He was not a talkative person. Once he had confirmed his target, he would immediately make a move to prevent any accidents from happening. A mere mortal realm warrior would easily be captured by him. Before the Chu family could realize it, he would have long escaped Chu County and would be on his way back to the Purple Moon Kingdom. As long as he returned to Purple Moon Kingdom safely, it would be impossible for the Chu family to rescue him. However, the moment he made his move, he felt his shoulder weighed down. He suffered a blow from a paw on his head and fell to the ground. Not good. Lu Yuan was shocked. His first thought was that Chu Chuluo's son was bait. Just as he was about to resist desperately, a python suddenly appeared and wrapped itself around his body. He did not realize how or when the giant python had appeared. It seemed to have appeared out of thin air. How could the Chu family possess a void realm demonic beast? Lu Yuan's heart sank to the bottom. He was filled with regret. He should not have volunteered for this task. Chapter 29. Counterattack from 10,000 miles away. Chu Zan looked down at Lu Yuan and asked, "Who are you? Are you from the cult? I'm curious, is the identity of Chu Chuluo's son such a popular one?" Lu Yuan calmed down slightly at this moment. There were no other experts of the Chu family in the courtyard, just Chu Chuluo's son and the demonic python that was wrapped around his body. Therefore, it was not bait laid out by the Chu family, but rather that Chu Chuluo's son was protected by a void realm demonic beast. Had the beast been left behind by Chu Chuluo for his son? Could it be that Chu Chuluo had long broken through to the Unity Realm and had tamed a void realm demonic beast? Lu Yuan did not answer. Since he was not being ambushed, he felt that he still had a chance to escape. Secretly circulating his spiritual power, he looked for the weaknesses of the python, preparing to free himself from the python's entanglement and capture Chu Zan in an instant. In that way, his mission would also be completed. You don't want to talk, right? It doesn't matter. Chu Zan smiled indifferently. The python suddenly opened its huge mouth and swallowed him whole as Lu Yuan stared transfixed. After swallowing Lu Yuan, the python gradually melted away and Lu Yuan's body slowly reappeared. The python had already merged itself into his body. The python had been formed from Chu Zan's spiritual power. At this moment, this spiritual power was hidden in Lu Yuan's body, providing him with an endless stream of spiritual power and increasing his strength. Lu Yuan was shocked. Why did the python suddenly disappear? He did not have time to think about the reason, so he immediately raised his hand and tried to grab Chuzan. However, something that terrified him happened. A huge turtle suddenly appeared in front of Chuzan, using its shell to block his attack. Similarly, he did not see how this huge turtle appeared. Lu Yuan had a shocking revelation in his heart. Materializing power into reality, the sign of a truth realm expert. The huge turtle in front of him and the huge python from before were both real demonic beasts no matter how he looked at them. Whether it was through his eyes, or through his spiritual will, they were both flesh and blood demonic beasts. However, their appearance had been too sudden. Even if they were taken out of a beast sack, they would not have appeared so suddenly. There would have been traces that he could detect. Lu Yuan's scalp went numb and his face turned pale. A truth realm expert. The Chu family actually had a truth realm expert, and he was even this young. He looked at Chuzan's handsome appearance and vaguely saw Chu Chuluo's shadow in it. Are you Chu Chuluo? His heart was in turmoil. The news of Chu Chuluo and his wife going missing while exploring the mystic realm must have been fake. Chu Chuluo had broken through to the truth realm, and the Chu family had created this elaborate lie in order to hide it. If Chu Chuluo had broken through to the truth realm in such a short period of time, could he possibly break through to the Emperor realm in the future? Perhaps Chu Chuluo had obtained a great opportunity and, to avoid being targeted by the major forces of the southern region, he had devised this plan. He lied about going missing, but had in fact been hiding within the Chu family. He had even changed his appearance. The more he thought about it, the more Lu Yuan felt that such a scenario was possible. Cold sweat unconsciously broke out over his forehead. He had discovered such a big secret and was going to be killed and silenced. My name is Chuzan, the son of Chu Chuluo. Don't be afraid, I won't kill you. Chuzan said with a smile. Come on, tell me which branch of the cult you are from. Lu Yuan was covered in cold sweat and did not dare to disobey. He said with a trembling voice, I am not from the cult in the Qin Kingdom. I am Lu Yuan, an elder of the cult from the Purple Moon Kingdom. Chuzan was stunned. Did he just say the Purple Moon Kingdom? The Purple Moon Kingdom was adjacent to the Qin Kingdom. The Chu county of the Chu family was adjacent to one of the Purple Moon Kingdom's counties. In terms of strength, the Purple Moon Kingdom was stronger than any of the four families in the Qin Kingdom. However, the four families were united. Therefore, the overall strength of the Qin Kingdom country was no weaker than that of the Purple Moon Kingdom. You came from the Purple Moon Kingdom. Why did you come all the way to the territory of the Qin Kingdom to capture me? Chuzan cursed in his heart. These guys from the heretic cult, did they train in evil techniques so much that they damaged their brains? The heretic cult of the Purple Moon Kingdom had always been active in the Purple Moon Kingdom. After all, although the heretic cult of each country belonged to the evil imperial court, they also had their own factions and territories. The heretic cult of the Purple Moon Kingdom coming to the Qin Kingdom would have been equivalent to crossing the line, unless the two branches of the heretic cult had already discussed and agreed upon a joint action. Lu Yuan did not dare to hide anything and directly sold out Yuan Chong. Chuzan was speechless. So that was the reason. Apparently Zhu Cheng's counterattack last time was exceptionally successful, to the point where even one of the cult's protectors from the Purple Moon Kingdom had been slain. Looking at Lu Yuan, Chuzan's heart was moved. The Purple Moon Kingdom's cult actually targeted him. If that was the case, then they could only blame themselves. Although I will not leave the house, I can still manage a counterattack. Moreover, Lu Yuan was already here to give his head away, traveling from 1,000 miles just to do so. Would it not be a waste if I did not make use of his sacrifice? Instantly, Chuzan planted a soul seed seal on Lu Yuan. At the same time, he sent a strand of spiritual power into his body. This would guarantee that Lu Yuan would be able to continuously use his ultimate moves and remain in his peak combat state. The spiritual power he poured in would not be easily exhausted, and even a 9th-level Void Realm martial artist would not be able to easily kill him. Moreover, once he approached a 9th-level Void Realm martial artist and self-destructed, he would absolutely be able to blow up that 9th-level Void Realm martial artist to death. This counterattack would surely create more results and prove to be more deadly than Zhu Cheng's. The strength of the heretic cult in the Purple Moon Kingdom might even suffer heavy losses because of this. As long as the Purple Moon Kingdom was slightly stronger, while they might not be able to completely annihilate the heretic cult within their territory, it would still be possible to deliver the cult a crippling blow. As a result, the evil imperial court would pay more attention to the Purple Moon Kingdom, and the pressure the Chu family would face would decrease. This would allow the situation around him to remain peaceful for a period of time. As long as he broke through to the Emperor realm during that period, then he would not have to fear the evil imperial court. He would kill anyone who came, and he would not fear any reprisals. Lu Yuan received Chu Zan's spiritual will and order to kill the others back in the Purple Moon Kingdom. His thoughts and mind remained clear. However, he could not resist the will that was hidden in his mind. Other than the inner turmoil that was racking his mind, there was nothing abnormal on his face or in his behavior. It was precisely because of this that Lu Yuan was feeling even more desperate. He was even more terrified. He would rather be completely controlled, turning into a mindless puppet, than suffer such torture. Chu Zan would patiently await the results of Lu Yuan's counterattack. After he completed the counterattack, he would naturally be notified by the system's reward. He hoped that the reward would be an increase in his cultivation level, which would allow him to increase his strength even faster. Although the Purple Moon Kingdom was adjacent to Chu County, the distance from the Chu family's territory to the Purple Moon Kingdom was not that close. This time, it could be said to be a counterattack from 10,000 miles away. In the underground palace, a group of elders from the Purple Moon Kingdom's cult were gathered. Other than vice sect leader Yuan Chong, most of the elders were all present. Lu Yuan observed silently. This time, almost all the elders from the Purple Moon Kingdom, except for a few, were present. After killing everyone present, the Purple Moon Kingdom's heretic cult would definitely suffer a great loss. This would complete the counterattack request of the will in his unseen mind. There had been no request to kill Yuan Chong. Therefore, Yuan Chong's absence did not matter. He could freely make his move. Where is he? Did you not capture him? An elder looked at Lu Yuan and frowned. Could it be that he had failed? HMPH, you have no right to order me around. Who does Yuan Chong think he is? From today onward, I will take the position of sect leader. Lu Yuan snorted coldly. All the elders were stunned. Was Lu Yuan's brain damaged? His strength, among all the elders, was only middling, if not lower. He was far inferior to Yuan Chong. He actually dared to covet the position of sect leader. Who gave him the courage to say such a thing? I, Lu Yuan, have encountered a great opportunity. My breakthrough to the Unity realm is just around the corner. The position of sect leader shall belong to me. Who will support me and who will oppose me? Lu Yuan was acting very arrogantly and looked down on everyone present. Chapter 30. Those who follow me will live, while those who defy me will die. Lu Yuan followed the instructions of Chu Zan's will and kept everyone from suspecting the Chu family. Therefore, he stated that he had obtained an opportunity and now wanted to become the sect leader. This was a very legitimate reason. When the battle started later, the other elders of the cult would not doubt Lu Yuan's strength when they found out that his strength had skyrocketed. They would only feel that Lu Yuan had gotten lucky and that his strength had increased greatly by chance, inflating his ego to the point where he actually coveted the position of sect leader. The faces of the elders all darkened. Especially the elders who were stronger. Lu Yuan actually dared to be presumptuous. He was simply courting death. The cultists were not good people. Lu Yuan, what are you talking about? We are all brothers, but some jokes just shouldn't be made. Zheng Tu hurriedly said. He had a good relationship with Lu Yuan and belonged to the same faction. It could also be said that they were on the same side, which strengthened their right to speak in the cult. Who knew that Lu Yuan would directly glare back at him? Zheng Tu, you are trash. It's insulting that I even worked together with you back then. What the FCK? Zheng Tu was so angry that his face turned green. Lu Yuan, this son of AB*TCH, had really gone overboard. Speak up now. Who opposes it and who supports it? Lu Yuan looked down on everyone present. Those who support me will live, while those who oppose me will die. FCK. The cult elders were furious. Even the sect leader did not dare to say such arrogant words. What right did Lu Yuan have to do so? Do you think you are a big shot of the evil imperial court? I object. What are you going to do about that? Zheng Tu was the first to stand up and speak angrily. He decided that, after today, he would no longer work together with Lu Yuan. This was a guy that clearly suffered from a mental illness. If he stayed close to Lu Yuan, he might one day be tricked to death by him. Very well, then you can go to hell. Lu Yuan directly made his move. Boom. A blade slashed out. He used a powerful attack the moment he made his move. Zheng Tu never thought that Lu Yuan would actually make a move. Caught off guard, he only had time to hurriedly block the attack. Puff! An arm left his body, and flesh and blood scattered on the ground where the light of the blade had passed through. Zheng Tu and Lu Yuan had been equal in strength, so there was no way a haphazard block would have been sufficient to defend against his attack. Zheng Tu suffered a heavy injury in an instant. Lu Yuan, are you crazy? Fortunately, an elder beside him had made a move, so Zheng Tu was not killed off directly. Good, you dare to go against me and stop me from killing him. Then die. Lu Yuan was furious and initiated another powerful attack. FCK, that elder was furious and hurriedly blocked. Lu Yuan had really gone mad. Lu Yuan, stop now, or don't blame us for not being polite. The other elders were all shocked and furious. How dare you? Lu Yuan was furious. Those who obey me will live, while those who defy me will die. Since you all dare to defy me, you should all die. He kept using powerful attacks one and the other and fought the elders single-handedly. The elders of the cult were about to vomit blood. Lu Yuan had really gone mad. His speech and mannerisms were so crazy. Did he think that he was the evil king? Kill, he has gone mad. Kill him, Zheng Tu said in exasperation. I'll kill you first, Lu Yuan roared, and a powerful force emerged from his body. His attack swept out instantly. Even though someone tried to help him block it, Zheng Tu still died. The first kill was completed. The other elders were shocked. The force emanating from Lu Yuan's body was extremely powerful, and it gave them a very dangerous feeling. He really did have a fortuitous encounter. No wonder he was acting so crazy. No, it was very likely that Lu Yuan was affected by this power and had lost his mind. A big battle broke out. Lu Yuan fought against many heretic cult elders alone. Among the elders, his strength was not considered too strong. However, relying on the spiritual power that Chu Zan had instilled in his body, he was very fierce. Within a short period of time, he had already killed 2 elders. The other elders were all mad. Even if they joined hands to deal with him, they still felt immense pressure and were at danger of dying at any time. The mysterious power inside Lu Yuan's body gave them the feeling of fear and trepidation. They wanted to escape, but Lu Yuan was blocking the entrance and refused to let them leave. The battle became more and more intense. After all, Chu Zan had imbued him with Truth Realm spiritual power. Even a wisp of that power was enough to kill a Void Realm expert. One elder after another fell under Lu Yuan's ferocious attacks. Cracks gradually appeared on Lu Yuan's body. His body could not withstand the continuous use of Truth Realm spiritual power. As the end of the battle neared, only 4 of the strongest elders were left. Lu Yuan was also at the end of his rope. The 4 elders heaved a sigh of relief in their hearts, but when they thought about how many elders had fallen, and how the cult would have suffered a great loss after this battle, they could not help but feel distressed in their hearts. DMN Lu Yuan. Why did he not self-destruct and die? Why did he have to return and harm others? Die, let's die together. Unexpectedly, Lu Yuan actually pounced on them directly, his body expanding. He was actually going to self-destruct. Not good. The 4 cult elders were terrified in their hearts. Lu Yuan, that B*****, was actually going to self-destruct and take them with him. Boom! Spiritual power raged, the underground palace collapsed, and smoke and dust billowed in the air. After an unknown amount of time, a bloody hand reached out from beneath the smoke and dust. A person covered in blood and wounds crawled out. He had lost an arm and a leg. Among all the elders, he was the only one alive. Moreover, he had suffered heavy injuries. It could even be said that he was crippled. Yuan Chong rushed inside with a frantic expression on his face. He had just arrived when the underground palace exploded. He thought that the Purple Moon Kingdom's experts were attacking, so he had hurried over to try and rescue the cult elders. In the end, he saw the great elder lying half dead on the ground. Who did it? Where are the others? Yuan Chong asked angrily when he did not manage to find the enemy. That son of AB****tch Lu Yuan did it. The great elder spat out blood. He was really about to explode in anger. The gaze he gave Yuan Chong was not a very friendly one either. Had it not been for Yuan Chong's suggestion to capture Chu Chuluo's son, Lu Yuan would not have volunteered, and this kind of thing would never have happened in the first place. Lu Yuan. Yuan Chong was stunned. Lu Yuan had the ability to do this. Where are the others? They're all dead. I'm the only one left. The great elder spat out blood as he spoke those words. Yuan Chong's brain immediately froze. They are all dead. At least 70% of the elders had been wiped out. This was a great loss to the Purple Moon Kingdom's cult. After suffering such a heavy loss, how could he compete with his fellow sect leaders? The imperial court would also be dissatisfied with him and feel that he was incompetent. The great elder continued to vomit blood. Looking at the dazed Yuan Chong, he gnashed his teeth in anger. "DMN it, hurry up and save me. Why are you still in a daze?" After a long while, Yuan Chong finally came back to his senses. He took out a pill to save the great elder and asked him for the reason behind Lu Yuan's actions. You did not leave the house, but killed your enemies from thousands of miles away. You have been rewarded with 10 years' worth of cultivation plus 1 box of lightning bombs. The system's voice sounded, and Chu Zan instantly felt energized. The rewards for the counterattack this time were quite good. After receiving 10 years' worth of cultivation, a wave of power and comprehension filled his mind and body. His strength gradually increased from the first level of the Truth Realm to the third level of the Truth Realm. As expected, the higher the realm, the slower the increase in strength. 10 years' worth of cultivation only increased his strength by 2 small realms. Chu Zan looked at the lightning bombs. They were single-use spiritual artifacts that contained a trace of the power of lightning. They were very effective against evil cultivators. Once a lightning bomb was detonated, the power of the resulting explosion would be sufficient to severely injure a first-level Truth Realm expert. Below the Truth Realm, unless one had a powerful defensive artifact, one would almost certainly die. When used against evil cultivators, its power was even greater. It could severely injure a second-level Truth Realm evil cultivator. Chu Zan understood. This was the fantasy world's version of a grenade. He decided that if any more evil cultists came to disturb him, he would send a few lightning bombs their way to deal with them. Perhaps he could even go to the evil imperial court and detonate a few of them. Chapter 31. The Heretic Cult's Assassination Plan. After a successful counterattack on the Purple Moon Kingdom's heretic cult, Chu Zan felt that he should be able to quietly live in a seclusion now, at least until he received the system's reward for a year of seclusion. The Purple Moon Kingdom's heretic cult had already suffered a great loss, so they probably could not send people over, right? The Qin Kingdom's heretic cult was currently in hiding. Moreover, with Zhang Kui acting as his spy, he would not be harassed by them. The heretic cult from the Great Zhou Kingdom would not come all the way here to find trouble with him, right? Moreover, the Great Zhou Kingdom did not share borders with Chu County. The following days were calm and peaceful. Chu Zan continued to read the Myriad Elixirs scripture and the Myriad Spirits scripture, and lived a very comfortable life. After breaking through to the Truth Realm, the effect of the spirit cultivating diagram was much weaker, almost to the point of being completely ineffective. He would only start feeling dizzy after staring at it for more than 2 hours. After practicing the 100 tempering divine technique, Chu Zan felt that his mental will was much stronger than other Truth Realm martial artists. His mental will was no weaker than a 5th-level Truth Realm martial artist. As he continued to practice, his mental will continued to increase in strength. After discovering that the effect of the spirit cultivating diagram had become weaker, Chu Zan did not use it much anymore. It was too boring to stare at it for 2 hours. He was looking forward to the system rewarding him with an enhanced version of the spirit cultivating diagram. You've been in seclusion for 11 months. You've been rewarded with an enhanced version of the spirit cultivating diagram. After 11 months, he had finally been rewarded with an enhanced version of the spirit cultivating diagram. Chu Zan only looked at it for 2 to 3 seconds before he felt like he was drowning inside it. His head was swelling and he felt dizzy. The effect of this enhanced version of the diagram was very strong. The enhanced version of the spirit cultivating diagram would still have a certain effect even when one reached the Emperor realm. However, by then, he would most likely be able to obtain a further enhanced version of the spirit cultivating diagram. The lower level version of the spirit cultivating diagram had already become useless to him. While it might be useless to Chu Zan, it would definitely be regarded as a top-tier treasure in the southern region. That night, Chu Zan sensed that Zhang Kui had activated the Soul Seed Seal. It seemed like he had something to report. Chu Zan immediately turned serious. Could it be that the experts from the evil imperial court were about to attack? Not long after he responded, a figure appeared outside the courtyard. It was Zhang Kui. "Master, what's the matter?" Chu Zan sat on the chair and asked indifferently, while drinking the enlightenment tea. The Soul Seed Seal could transmit Chu Zan's will, but Zhang Kui could only rely on the Seed Soul Seal to transmit simple messages. He could not use it to communicate with him. Therefore, Zhang Kui needed to explain the specific details of the situation in person. Master, the vice-sect leader of the Purple Moon Kingdom's cult, Yuan Chong, has secretly joined forces with the sect leader of the Qin Kingdom's cult, Lu Wang, and are plotting to bring over experts to attack Chu County and surround and kill the experts of the Chu family. To Chu Zan's surprise, Yuan Chong did not continue to find trouble with him personally, but still ended up targeting the Chu family. Thus, he discussed matters with the sect leader of the Qin Kingdom's cult, Lu Wang, seeking to join forces with him and bring their experts to ambush and kill the experts of the Chu family. Once the plan was carried out successfully, the Chu family would suffer heavy losses. At the very least, a few Void Realm stewards or family elders would fall. Even Chu Qing would be in danger. In order to carry out this mission, Yuan Chong did not hesitate to use a treasured artifact that the cult used to conceal their auras and hide their tracks. This was a gift that the various cult branches at the national level had received from the evil imperial court. Its function was to allow the cult to hide effectively so that they would not be wiped out in one fell swoop. Every time this treasured artifact was used, it would cost them 1 million crystals. For this operation, Yuan Chong could be said to have spent a lot of money. From this, it could be seen just how much he resented the Chu family. Chu Zan was speechless. Why was he causing trouble again? Chu Zan would not allow the Chu family to be harmed. No matter what, he was also a member of the Chu family. Moreover, if the Chu family really suffered heavy losses, it would not be a good thing for him either, as it would affect his peaceful and quiet life in the courtyard. Chu Yun was also in Chu County. She would definitely become one of the targets of the cult. Chu Zan thought to himself for a moment, after which he said, think of a way to leak the information about the plan to the Chu family. At the same time, leak the information about their target list and the timing of the cult's operation. The Chu family will naturally deal with it. As long as the Chu family obtained the information, the cult's plot would definitely not succeed. Moreover, the Chu family could also use this opportunity to ambush the cult. Yes, Master, Zhang Kui said respectfully. Your mission is to protect Miss Chu Yun, do you understand? Chu Zan thought for a moment. Now that Chu Yun was learning to refine pills, she definitely needed all kinds of spiritual herbs. Thus, he added to his instructions, you should also secretly collect all kinds of spiritual herbs, heavenly materials and earthly treasures for Miss Chu Yun. You can let it appear as if she was lucky enough to obtain them. In short, you should think of a way to handle it properly. Yes, Master. Chu Zan paused for a moment again before taking out 3 bottles, which contained Great Profound Pills, Great Spirit Pills, and Profound Void Pills. He said, think of a way to sell them in exchange for spirit herbs. Zhang Kui was at the 9th level of the Void Realm, but was now his subordinate, so Chu Zan did not have to worry about being betrayed. In order to ensure Chu Yun was sufficiently safe, Chu Zan condensed 2 large pythons from spiritual power. The 2 large pythons fused themselves into Zhang Kui's body. The 2 large pythons possessed the strength of the 5th level of the Unity Realm. Although they could not last very long, they could be considered invincible within the borders of the Qin Kingdom. When you get close to Miss Chu Yun later, one of the large pythons will fuse into her body. As for the remaining one, I'll give it to you as a life-saving measure. Chu Zan could not silently fuse the spiritual power of the Truth Realm into Chu Yun's body. In order not to reveal his strength, he did not give it to Chu Yun while she was in the courtyard. Zhang Kui could just bring the python to Chu Yun, masquerading its appearance as a lucky encounter, after which it would fuse itself into Chu Yun's body and protect her during critical moments. Even if the python was separated from Chu Zan, it was still identical to a demonic beast. Other than not being able to fight for a long time, there was no difference between it and an actual demonic beast. This was one of the abilities of a Truth Realm expert. As long as the spiritual power was not exhausted, it could continue to exist. It was also one of the methods that many Truth Realm experts used to protect their juniors. Thank you, Master. Zhang Kui was very excited. With a spiritual power python inside him, he did not need to worry about his life being threatened. Chu Zan threw out another Xuan pill and said, try to break through to the Unity Realm. Zhang Kui left excitedly. Chu Tianming had half a foot into the Unity Realm, but it was not that easy to break through. Apart from lacking the appropriate cultivation method, this was also related to the lack of spiritual power in the Qin Kingdom. He could only rely on time to slowly polish his cultivation and accumulate experience before he had the chance to break through. Chu Zan felt that in another 20 to 30 years, Chu Tianming would be able to break through. Given his current realm, Chu Tianming could definitely break through if he was given a Xuan pill. However, Chu Zan did not intend to give him a Xuan pill. This cheap grandpa had never liked him and, every time he saw Chu Zan, he would get annoyed and scold him. When Chu Yun refined the Void Unity pill, and Chu Tianming made a breakthrough with it, Chu Yun's position in the Chu family would be even more unshakable. This old man's innate talent isn't very good, Chu Zan muttered. Other than the lacking cultivation method and the lack of spiritual power, the most important thing was that Chu Tianming's innate talent was limited. Otherwise, why would no one doubt whether his father, Chu Chuluo, could break through to the Unity realm, or even the Truth realm? Naturally, it was because of his innate talent. Could it be because his father's cultivation method was stronger? That was impossible. If there really was such a powerful cultivation method, would his father not have passed it on to the Chu family? Chu Zan knew that his father harbored deep feelings for the Chu family. Breaking the marriage engagement had made Chu Tianming so angry that he almost vomited blood. As such, Chu Chuluo still felt a little guilty. If there really was a stronger cultivation method, even if he did not pass it on to others, he would definitely pass it on to Chu Tianming. The fact that his father was able to break through to the Unity realm, and perhaps even the Truth realm, in such a short period of time by relying on only half a truth scripture meant that his father's innate talent was really amazing. Chu Zan sighed. No wonder he could suppress his contemporaries in the Qin kingdom and had been hailed as the most talented person in the history of the Chu family. Chapter 32. Chu Yun's Pill Refinement. Chu Zan did not pay much attention to how the heretic cult acted or how the Chu family set up their ambush. Since they already knew about the heretic cult's plot, if the Chu family did not take the opportunity to kill them, then they would really be too useless. As long as Chu Yun was safe, the other matters were not too important. The Chu family had been established in the Qin kingdom for thousands of years. If they could not even deal with the heretic cult's plot this time, how could they have remained as one of the major forces for this long? Chu County's capital. In the Chu Manor, Chu Qing was looking through an intelligence report. Previously, when he had been surrounded and ambushed by the heretic cult, he had almost lost his life. Fortunately, he had activated the escape bead in time and escaped with his life. He hated the heretic cult to the core. These days, he utilized the Chu family's intelligence network to secretly investigate the base of the heretic cult, vowing to uproot the heretic cult. He had thought about purchasing information from Black Moon Tower, but Black Moon Tower's price was too high, so he could only rely on the Chu family's intelligence network. Chu County belonged to the Chu family, so the information network was still very adequate. However, due to the lack of detection-type spiritual artifacts or even treasured artifacts, it was very difficult to locate the important strongholds of the cult. The cult had the ability to hide their auras, which helped them to avoid being detected by detection-type spiritual artifacts or even treasured artifacts. It was precisely because of this that they had been unable to completely eradicate the cult. A steward ran into the room in a hurry. "Young Master Qing, someone sent over an intelligence report." Chu Qing raised his head and asked, "Who sent it?" It wasn't the other three families, and it naturally wasn't Black Moon Tower either. "I wonder who it was." The manager shook his head and said. Chu Qing's expression instantly changed when he saw the contents of the intelligence report. "Go and invite fourth uncle over." The manager hurriedly left. Chu Chuhai was Chu Tianming's fourth son, and his innate talent could only be considered to be slightly above average among his siblings. Presently, he had only barely stepped into the first level of the Void Realm. Most of the time, he stayed in the capital to represent the direct descendants of the Chu family. "Qing, what's the matter?" Chu Chuhai asked. Chu Chuhai came running over in a hurry. Chu Qing handed over the intelligence report to him and, after Chu Chuhai finished reading it, he said solemnly, "Fourth uncle, how much of this report do you think is credible?" "The credibility of this report should be very high. No matter what, we must be on guard. This matter isn't something that you or I can handle. I'll return to the family territory immediately." Chu Chuhai took the report and left in a hurry. In a small village outside the capital, a cave had been dug out on a small mountainside. The entrance to the cave had been blocked using a big rock. Inside, Chu Yun stared at a pill cauldron with a solemn expression. She changed her techniques, and spiritual power vibrated inside the pill cauldron at a strange frequency. A fire crystal under the pill cauldron was burning with scarlet flames. This was Chu Yun's 10th pill refinement. She could already refine ordinary grade pills, for which she had a 100% success rate. The quality of the pills she refined was higher than the pills she bought from the He family. Out of the 4 families in the Qin kingdom, only the He family was good at pill refinement. Every time the 4 families worked together to deal with a crisis, the He family would provide the logistical supplies and pills. Chu Yun knew that this alchemy technique was extraordinary, far beyond what the He family was capable of providing. Currently, she was practicing refining the profound pill. During the first 9 times, she had failed 6 times and succeeded 3 times, but the quality of the medicinal pills was average. This was the 10th time she was refining the medicinal pills, and it was also the last batch of spiritual herbs Chu Yun had. After refining this cauldron of medicinal pills, she would have to think of a way to get her hands on some more spiritual herbs. As the He family was a pill-refining family, most of the spiritual herbs were supplied to the He family in return for obtaining a certain amount of medicinal pills. If they wanted to obtain medicinal pills beyond the allocated amount, they would have to buy them. Therefore, it would not be easy for Chu Yun to obtain spiritual herbs. Moreover, she was secretly learning pill refining by herself, so all the related expenses had to be borne by her. Fortunately, she was favored by the Chu family, so she had a lot of crystals in her possession to buy what she needed. During the final moments of refining, beads of sweat appeared on Chu Yun's fair forehead. "Rise!" Chu Yun shouted in her heart, and the frequency of the spiritual power emitted from her palms changed, and the cauldron began to spin. Bang! The lid of the cauldron opened. Guided by her spiritual power, 12 pills flew out. Chu Yun raised her hand to catch them. Of the 12 pills, 4 were useless and, of the remaining 8, 5 were ordinary Zon pills. However, there were 3 that had already reached a level that could be considered high quality. The pills were round, smooth, and lustrous. The pills' medicinal fragrance did not dissipate. Chu Yun was overjoyed. She silently summarized the refining process just now and reviewed the deficiencies. She would refine the pills better next time. She did not have any spirit herbs with her now, so she had to buy some spirit herbs in order to continue her practice. Once she could refine the profound pills skillfully, the next step would be to refine the spirit pills. She pushed open the big rock at the entrance of the cave. Chu Yun had just walked out of the cave when she suddenly saw a big python. She was shocked. Before she could react, the python had already fused into her body. What was that? Chu Yun hurriedly checked her body and found that there was an unknown power hidden in her body. It seemed to be that big python. An opportunity. Suddenly, she saw a small storage bag where the big python had appeared from. She looked around, but there was no one there. She picked up the storage bag and looked inside. There were all kinds of spirit herbs inside. Not only were there the spirit herbs needed to refine the profound pills, but there were also the ingredients needed to refine the spirit pills. Other than the spirit herbs, there were also over 1 million spirit crystals inside the storage bag. Chu Yun was shocked. Who gave her this storage bag? Grandfather Chu Tianming. This possibility was not high. He had no reason to give it to her secretly. Thinking of the unknown power hidden in her body, was it possible that a certain senior had found out that she was refining pills and purposely left some spirit herbs here to test her? Chu Yun felt that she might have encountered an expert. Holding the storage bag, she excitedly returned to the cave, blocked the entrance with the large rock again, and continued to refine pills. Outside the cave, 2 figures had hidden themselves. "You stay here and protect Miss Chu Yun. I'm returning to the cult." Zhang Kui left quietly after giving the orders to Dong Qian. The cult was planning to launch a surprise attack on Chu County. As the first vice-sect leader, Zhang Kui had to grasp the entire plan. He wanted to send reliable information over to the Chu family as soon as possible. This information would include the timing of the attack, the location of the attack, the names of the important people, and so on. At this point, his heart had already become numb. He did not feel sad for the cult at all. He only wanted to wholeheartedly work for Chu Zan. This was what it was like working for a big shot. He felt that after this matter was over, he would find a place to break through to the Unity Realm. With the profound void pill that Chu Zan had given him, breaking through to the Unity Realm would not be a big problem. As for the medicinal pills that Chu Zan wanted to sell, he had handed them over to Dong Qian to handle. It was inconvenient for him to reveal himself to others because he was on Black Moon Tower's hit list. For some reason, that group of black-hearted people wanted to kill him. Zhang Kui arrived at the small courtyard again. After Chu Zan heard his report, he was slightly surprised. Chu Yun seemed to possess some talent in alchemy. Within a short period of time, she had already managed to refine profound pills. The pills were divided into profound pills, spirit pills, profound void pills, truth pills, and emperor pills, which corresponded to each realm. Among them, profound void pills corresponded to the void realm and unity realm. There was no emperor in the southern region, so, naturally, no one could refine emperor pills. Otherwise, there would be no lack of emperor-level experts there. Very good. Continue providing her with the materials needed to refine the pills. Chu Zan nodded with satisfaction. He had made the right choice in choosing not to kill Zhang Kui back then. He now had a faithful lackey who could carry out his orders. Moreover, Zhang Kui had been able to become the first vice-sect leader of the cult. Apart from his strength, his ability and intelligence were naturally not bad. He threw out a bottle of profound void pills and said, "Let Dong Qian consume these to increase his strength." His strength was too low, and he was unable to accomplish much for Chu Zan. For the time being, these two lackeys were working for him, and there was no possibility of them betraying him. Naturally, the stronger they were, the better. Chapter 33, Heavenly Secrets Origin Probing Technique. Chu Zan ordered Zhang Kui to constantly pay attention to the movements of the cult and provide the necessary information to the Chu family so that they could defeat the cult's planned operation. Chu Zan did not care about the details or how it would be accomplished. After all, if he could not even do such a simple thing well, Zhang Kui would be of no value as a lackey. Evil cultivators with no value would naturally be discarded and eliminated. Over the next few days, Chu Zan noticed that a few elders of the Chu family had quietly left the ancestral grounds. In addition, just now, Chu Tianming had left with a treasured artifact. The cult was probably about to take action, and the Chu family had made the necessary preparations. Chu Zan did not care much about the outcome of this battle. Since the Chu family had obtained information about the operation in advance, if they were unable to hand the cultists a severe defeat, then they would really be too useless. The Purple Moon Kingdom's cult had already suffered great losses. It was believed that their sect leader had not recovered from his serious injuries and, thanks to Lu Yuan's sacrifice, more than half of their elders had been killed. The number of experts Yuan Chong had at his disposal was very limited. 3 days later, a great battle broke out. However, for the cultists, this battle was unexpected. Yuan Chong did not know or understand what had happened either. It could be said that he hated the Chu family to the bone, which was why he had not hesitated to use the cult's treasured artifact for this operation. The sect leader of the Qin Kingdom's cult, Lu Wang, had actually brought a precious artifact with him as well. The cult's precious artifacts were all low-grade artifacts that had been provided by the evil imperial court. The battle was extremely intense. Even though the Chu family had long been prepared for it, the madness of the cultists still exceeded their expectations. However, since they had learned of the cult's movements in advance, the Chu family was naturally not the only ones who ambushed the cult. The He family had also sent experts to assist them. Under the encirclement of the two great families, even though Yuan Chong and Lu Wang had brought their treasured artifacts with them and were going all out, they were still unable to resist. As the battle raged on, Zhang Kui only took part in the fighting for a short while before feigning injury and escaping. In this battle, Yuan Chong died, Lu Wang suffered heavy injuries and escaped, while the other heretic cult experts were almost all annihilated. After this battle, the strength of the Qin Kingdom's cult fell drastically. As for the Purple Moon Kingdom's heretic cult, their vice-sect leader Yuan Chong died in battle, and the elders that had accompanied him also died. In addition, the cult's treasured artifact was destroyed. Thanks to the destruction of the treasured artifact that hid the cultists, auras, the heretic cult of the Purple Moon Kingdom was now on the verge of extinction. You did not leave the house, but successfully schemed against and thwarted the heretic cult's operation. You've been rewarded with the Heavenly Secrets Origin Probing Technique. The reward from the system suddenly arrived. Chu Zan was pleasantly surprised. This also meant that the Chu family had won a great victory and that the heretic cult had suffered a crushing defeat. The Heavenly Secrets Origin Probing Technique can pry into heaven's secrets, exploring the source, understanding the origins, and revealing the details of one's previous life. After reading the introduction to the Heavenly Secrets Origin Probing Technique, Chu Zan was shocked. This secret technique was too powerful. It could pry into the source and origin of living beings. It could even reveal details about their previous lives. Of course, it would only reveal details of those who had extraordinary previous lives. Ordinary people did not have the need to pry into the origin either. If he mastered the Heavenly Secrets Origin Probing Technique, no one could hide their identity from Chu Zan. With just a glance, he would be able to know the source and origin of the person. He could even see details of the person's previous life. After Chu Zan received the Heavenly Secrets origin probing technique, a mysterious feeling of comprehension surfaced within his mind. At this moment, he seemed to be connected to a certain great Tao. Once he opened his eyes again, Chu Zan could not help but activate the Heavenly Secrets origin probing technique and examine the Heavenly Spirit Cat. Its information appeared in his mind. Heavenly Spirit Cat, a mystical beast of heaven and earth that possesses the might of a divine beast. Chu Zan felt his consciousness shake and he felt dizzy just by looking at the information. He hurriedly deactivated the probing technique. The Heavenly Spirit Cat had an extraordinary background. It consumed too much spiritual will to explore its source fully. With his current truth realm strength, he could not sustain its activation at all. He only received a short piece of information when he used the probing technique. Chu Zan took out a medicinal pill and consumed it to recover his spiritual will. He did not continue to probe the origins of the Heavenly Spirit Cat or the sky-shaking golden rock. The system had introduced their origins previously anyway. Moreover, the Heavenly Spirit Cat and the sky-shaking golden rock were not ordinary creatures. Their levels were too high. Chu Zan's current strength was insufficient to fully delve into their origins. The failure of the plot had caused the cult to suffer serious losses. Chu Zan was very satisfied with the reward he had received from the system, which was the Heavenly Secrets origin probing technique. However, now that the cult had suffered a great setback, he was uncertain about whether the evil imperial court would send their experts over. The 1-year period of seclusion was almost up. As such, Chu Zan was not too worried. Given the overall levels of strength of the Qin Kingdom, it was impossible for the evil imperial court to send Truth Realm experts over. In addition, within this short period of time, it was likely that the cult would not be able to stir up any trouble. The Purple Moon Kingdom's cult had almost been completely crippled, and the Qin Kingdom's cult had also been greatly weakened. Great Zhou Kingdom's cult would not possibly come all the way here to die, right? The Chu family had secured a great victory. Within this short period of time, the cult could no longer stir up trouble in the Qin Kingdom. Chu Zan's days still passed calmly and peacefully. Out of curiosity, he used the Heavenly Secrets origin probing technique to examine the origins of a servant that delivered his daily food. His origins were very simple. The servant was the son of an ordinary family in a small village in Chu County. He had lost his family 10 years ago in the chaos wrought by the evil cultivators. In order to take revenge, he came to the Chu family and chose to become a servant of the Chu family. After all, not everyone had the fate of a protagonist in a novel. After he became a servant, he did not rise up, nor did he display divine might and destroy the cult. He could only remain as a small servant and pass his days in peace. Chu Zan sighed. This was representative of the lives of most ordinary people, who suffered at the bottom rungs of this fantasy world. How could there be so many protagonists who could turn the tables after starting off as a servant? This servant was already considered lucky to have been able to successfully become a servant of the Chu family. He did not have to worry about food and clothing, and he would also receive a certain amount of resources for his cultivation. However, one's innate talent ultimately limited one's growth. It was unknown as to whether he would ever successfully break through to the profound realm. The servants in the Chu family all possessed a certain amount of talent. However, those who could break through to the profound realm were still few and far between. Other than cultivation resources, innate talent was also a major factor. Those who truly had outstanding talent would not become servants. Half a month before the 1-year deadline, a person whom Chu Zan did not want to see returned. Chu Yuan, the third eldest of Chu Zan's generation. He was a guy who worshipped his father, Chu Chuluo. As early as 2 years ago, Chu Yuan had left the family's territory to train himself. It was even said that he had already left the Qin Kingdom. The moment Chu Yuan returned, he went over to Chu Zan's courtyard. With a look of disappointment, he said, 13th, look at what you've become. Are you worthy of being third uncle's son? The corners of Chu Zan's mouth twitched. The main reason why his relationship with Chu Yuan was so poor was that Chu Yuan liked to nag and lecture him. He would often look at Chu Zan with an expression of disappointment. Can't you be a little more proactive? Chu Yuan asked bitterly. Third uncle and third aunt are missing. Don't you want to become stronger and search for third uncle and third aunt? You're too disappointing. Chu Zan turned his back to him. Chu Yuan was so angry that his hands were shaking. The person he admired the most was his third uncle, Chu Chuluo. Moreover, he had studied under Chu Chuluo when he was very young. It could be said that Chu Chuluo had taught him what he knew. Seeing Chu Zan like this, he was really about to go crazy from anger. Get up! Chu Yuan raised his hand and grabbed him. Chu Zan could not be bothered with him. He did not move at all and said, "Third brother, are you trying to kill me so that you can inherit my father's inheritance?" Chu Yuan's hand paused, and there was an extremely embarrassed look on his face. You actually see me as this kind of person in your heart. That's not it, I just don't want you to disturb me. Chu Zan turned around to look at him and said, "Third brother, everyone's lifestyle is different. This is the lifestyle I've chosen. I think it's very good and it's enough for me. Besides, even when my father was around, he did not care that I lived like this." You, sigh. Chu Yuan pointed at him with trembling fingers and sighed in the end. Chapter 34. Someone from the Qin royal family. Chu Yuan sat down beside him, took out a pot of wine, and silently drank a few mouthfuls. Chu Zan glanced at him. With one look, it was obvious that this fellow had something on his mind. However, he did not ask or probe. Among his peers, Chu Yuan's innate talent was the greatest. Although Chu Tianming had high hopes for Chu Qing, in terms of cultivation, he was far inferior to Chu Yuan, even Chu Yun was a little inferior. However, Chu Yun seemed to be talented in pill refinement, and would be able to make up for the difference in that way. Chu Yuan could be said to be the strongest among his peers. His cultivation was at the first level of the spirit realm. Moreover, Chu Zan realized that the method he was cultivating with was not the Chu family's cultivation method. He also did not know whether Chu Yuan obtained a fortuitous encounter outside, or whether the cultivation method had been passed down to Chu Yuan by his father. Chu Yuan silently drank a few more mouthfuls of wine and sighed. 13th, you want to live a peaceful life without fighting and strife. Perhaps that's the right choice after all. Chu Zan listened silently and thought to himself, old third looks like he's about to say his final words. Could something have happened? Although his relationship with Chu Yuan, before he recovered the memories of his previous life was ordinary, Chu Yuan really cared about him. If Chu Zan could help him out, he would not mind doing so. In a few days, I'll be leaving the territory again. I don't know when I'll be back. I don't even know if I'll be back at all. Chu Yuan spoke softly. I'll keep an eye out for third uncle and third aunt. If there's any news, I'll get someone to inform you. Although the brothers and sisters of the Chu family don't fight much, in order for you to live a stable life, you'd better cultivate this cultivation technique properly and hand it over to grandfather as well. Your status in the Chu family will be much better then. As Chu Yuan spoke, he took out a small booklet. A part of the booklet seemed to be missing. The yellowed booklet was made from a unique animal hide that could be preserved for a very long time. This unique animal hide was usually used as a material to record cultivation techniques and the like. Apart from being able to be preserved for a long time, it could also store spiritual will. The words on it were all engraved with spiritual will and contained spiritual meaning. Chu Yuan placed the booklet into Chu Zan's hands, after which he took out a bottle of pills and handed it over as well. He stood up and said, break through to the profound realm as soon as possible. Looking at Chu Yuan's slightly desolate back, Chu Zan shook his head. He did not know what was on his mind. Could it be that he had fallen out of love? It was very likely. He picked up the booklet and flipped it open to take a look. It was actually an emperor-level scripture. However, it was not complete. It could only be considered half of an emperor-level scripture. Even so, it was still extraordinary. One had to know that the Chu family had similarly relied on their partial emperor-level scripture to establish themselves in the Qin kingdom for thousands of years. Cultivating this partial emperor-level scripture would not allow one to break through to the emperor realm. However, breaking through to the truth realm would not be a problem. According to the records in the book, the reason why there was no emperor-level character in the southern region was because, after the Great War that swept through the southern region, the earth veins collapsed and the rules were thrown into chaos. Therefore, cultivators here could not comprehend the emperor realm. Other than that, it was also related to the lack of an emperor realm inheritance. Chu Zan shook his head. He did not care for this partial emperor-level scripture at all. The medicinal pills were only ordinary. Chu Zan naturally would not care for medicinal pills needed to break through to the profound realm. After all, they were too inferior to the great profound pill. Chu Yuan had given this cultivation technique to him so that he could use it to gain Chu Tianming's attention. This would increase Chu Zan's status in the Chu family and allow him to continue living a peaceful and carefree life. That was very thoughtful of him. He did not know what was on Chu Yuan's mind, but it seemed like he wanted to distance himself from Chu Zan. Could it be that he had offended a powerful enemy and wanted to avoid implicating others? Since he did not know or understand the situation, Chu Zan did not pay too much attention to it. At most, he would ask Zhang Kui to pay attention to the matter and, if necessary, lend a helping hand. B-starred. In the end, on the second day after Chu Yuan returned, Chu Tianming's furious roar could be heard from the ancestral residence. It could even be heard all the way from the small courtyard. Chu Zan was speechless. It seemed that the old man was so angry that he was about to explode. His first thought was that this matter was related to Chu Yuan. For something to anger Chu Tianming to this extent, it seemed that it was not a small matter. Chu Zan instructed the heavenly spirit cat to sneak into the ancestral mansion and find out exactly what was going on. Even from such a distance, Chu Zan could sense Chu Tianming's vigorous aura. Could it be that he wanted to kill Chu Yuan? That old man would not be that ruthless, right? Chu Tianming had almost gone crazy from anger. Chu Yuan wanted to break off his marriage engagement. His fiancée was the princess of the Qin kingdom, Qin Qian. The victim of the broken marriage engagement was the Qin royal family once again. Although the Qin kingdom was ruled by 4 families, the Qin family was the royal family of the Qin kingdom after all, and was considered the strongest among the 4. If they broke off the marriage engagement again, this would be akin to pressing the Qin royal family's face into the ground and rubbing it in the dirt. What made Chu Tianming so angry, to the point that he wanted to vomit blood, was that Qin Qian's mother was the one Chu Chuluo had broken off his marriage arrangement with. After she had kicked up a fuss in the Chu family, she did not marry within the 4 families. Instead, she chose a husband from outside. If Chu Yuan broke off the marriage engagement as well, how could the other party just let it go? Perhaps there would be a rift between the Chu and Qin families because of this. I don't care who it is that you've fallen in love with. You absolutely cannot break off the marriage engagement. In fact, I'll arrange for you to marry her right away. Chu Tianming roared. Chu Yuan's father, Chu Chofeng, was drenched in cold sweat. He lowered his head and did not dare to look at his father. He regretted letting his 3rd brother teach his son. What did he learn? He actually learned how to break off marriage engagements. Had he not been getting along just fine with Qin Qian? They seemed to have a good relationship. Why did he suddenly decide to ruin the marriage engagement? Chu Tianming was so angry to the point that he was about to explode. If the Qin family found out about this, would they not be furious as well? His 3rd son had broken off the marriage engagement previously and, now, his 3rd grandson also wanted to break off his own marriage engagement. In addition, the one who would have her marriage ruined would be the daughter of the previous victim. This was simply too much. Chu Yuan's expression was calm as he said, I've already informed the Qin family. I've already spoken with Qian frankly. In my eyes, she's just like my little sister. Pooh. Chu Tianming clutched his chest. He felt his blood churning and he was on the verge of vomiting blood. You. Trembling, he pointed at Chu Yuan and was unable to speak for a long time. Had he not been a peak void realm expert who was on the verge of breaking through to the unity realm, his fury would probably have ruptured his blood vessels. Grandfather, father, uncle, I've come to bid farewell to everyone today. I'm leaving the Chu family. Chu Yuan's expression was still calm. He knew that he had to face Chu Tianming's anger. However, he still had to come back and inform him. Chu Chofeng's expression was complicated. His son had been gifted an intelligence since young, and the child worshipped his 3rd brother. In the end, he even learned how to FC King ruin his own marriage engagement. Chu Choshang, the eldest brother among them, also had a complicated expression on his face. The Chu brothers rarely fought, and their relationship was harmonious. However, since the incident with his 3rd brother, Chu Cholu, the atmosphere in the Chu family seemed to have changed somewhat. Now, the 2nd person who ruined the marriage engagement had appeared. You are not allowed to go anywhere. I will immediately inform the Qin family to continue with the marriage. Chu Tianming's roar seemed to resound throughout the Chu family's ancestral grounds. After all, he was a half-step unity realm expert, so it would not be a problem for his voice to project further than 10 miles. As soon as he finished speaking, the head butler hurriedly walked in with a complicated expression on his face. He said, Master, the Qin family has sent someone over. Chu Tianming's expression changed. Who is it? It's Qin Pingxia and her daughter. Quote! Quote! Chu Tianming's face alternated between green and white. Qin Pingxia was the one who had almost become his daughter-in-law, and she had brought her daughter here to demand an explanation. Chapter 35. I am trash. Chu Yuan truly was talented. Chu Zan sighed, as expected of someone who worshipped his father. He even followed in Chu Chuluo's footsteps in breaking off his marriage engagement. Even from this far away, he could hear Chu Tianming's roars. One could imagine how angry he was. Had his grandfather not been a cultivator, would his blood vessels have burst from anger? Who knew what he would do to Chu Yuan? Would he lock him up? Would Chu Yuan be forced to marry Qin Qian? The other problem was, when things had gone this far south, would Qin Qian even be willing to marry him? Would there be no one who objected to their pre-arranged marriages within the four great families? Did they all marry voluntarily? Old Seventh and He Weiwei were indeed willing marriage partners. The two of them were having a lot of fun together. However, ignoring them, what about the others? What if the woman had someone else in her heart and could not be together with him? Would she have to marry a man whom she was engaged with but did not love? This was a problem that stemmed from feudal mindsets. Chu Zan shook his head and sighed. It had been a while since Chu Tianming's last roar was heard. Could it be that Chu Yuan had already been locked up? Since Chu Yuan had returned, he should be aware of the consequences that he had to face, right? Chu Yuan had made ample preparations. Since he chose to return, he naturally knew what he was about to face. He was not afraid at all. He was fully confident that he could successfully leave the Chu family. No one could stop him. Qin Pingxia stepped into the ancestral hall of the Chu family with an ashen face. Looking at Chu Tianming, her expression became somewhat complicated. She had almost become his daughter-in-law. Thinking of that elegant man from back then, her heart was filled with anger. How could she not be comparable to that common woman? Behind Qin Pingxia, there was a beautiful young girl whose head was slightly lowered. Uncle Chu, is your Chu family going to ruin another marriage? Qin Pingxia asked. I have no such intention. Chu Tianming denied it. Whether the Chu family breaks off the marriage engagement or not is up to the Chu family. But I, Chu Yuan, will not fulfill this marriage engagement. Chu Yuan said calmly. Shut up, Chu Tianming shouted. Grandpa, it's not good to force matters. You can ask Sister Qian, does she even like me? I do. A weak voice sounded. Chu Yuan, did you hear that? If you dare to disappoint Qian, I'll break your legs. Chu Tianming continued to roar. He could not afford to have another marriage engagement ruined. If it happened again, the four families' marriage alliance would be placed in jeopardy. This would cause cracks in the relationships between the four families, and they would gradually lose their sense of unity. Chu Yuan's gaze was firm as he looked at Qin Qian and said, don't be bound by the so-called marriage engagement. We've only met a few times, so how can you say you truly like me? I've liked you since the first time I saw you. Qin Qian replied with a slightly red face. It did not make any sense. Did he have such great charm? Chu Yuan was a little dumbfounded. He took a deep breath and said, I have someone I like. It's impossible for you and me to be together. Enough, Qin Pingxia said angrily, do you all think that the daughters of my Qin family are not worthy of the men of your Chu family? Remembering Chu Chuluo, she too was about to go crazy with anger. Now, her own daughter had to suffer a similar fate as hers. Dear niece Pingxia, the annulment of the marriage engagement will never happen again. Chu Tianming said with a sullen face. Lock him up and have him reflect on his actions. He gave an order to the head butler. Chu Yuan narrowed his eyes and a spatial escape bead appeared in his hand. Grandfather, father, uncle, I, Chu Yuan, am not as good as third uncle. My talent is not as good as third uncle, nor is my strength as good as third uncle. However, I will never lose to third uncle in terms of how much I love her. None of you can force me to marry someone else. Chu Tianming said angrily, why couldn't you have learned something else? Why did you have to learn from your third uncle and break off the engagement? Arg. Drag him down and lock him up. Reflect on your own mistakes. What AB****? Chu Yuan ignored the head butler. Instead, he looked at Qin Qian and said, Sister Qian, you are a good person. You will be able to find someone better. Goodbye. He activated the spatial escape bead and disappeared. B****. Chu Tianming was furious. He raised his hand and tried to grab him, but was one step too late. Find him and bring him back. Several elders quickly left the Chu family's ancestral residence. The third sons of the Chu family are never good people. Qin Pingxia's face was cold. She looked at the roaring Chu Tianming and took a few deep breaths. Then, she said, you chased Chu Chuluo's son out of the ancestral residence. Yes. Chu Tianming's face was dark. I'll go and see for myself just how outstanding Chu Chuluo's son is. She turned around and left with Qin Qian in tow. Chu Tianming was stunned. He did not understand what she meant by that. He signaled for Chu Chousheng and Chu Choufeng to follow her in case this woman saw Chu Zan and went crazy or did something drastic. After the heavenly spirit cat returned, Chu Zan roughly understood the whole story. The third son of the Chu family from the previous generation had ruined the marriage engagement. The third son of the Chu family from this generation had also ruined the marriage engagement. Chu Zan could foresee that the third son of the Chu family of the next generation would not be welcomed. Regardless of whether it was the Qin family, the Zhao family, or the He family, none of them would arrange a marriage with the third son of the Chu family. The door of the small courtyard was pushed open. Qin Pingxia appeared in the small courtyard together with Qin Qian. Looking at Chu Zan, who was lazily lying on the reclining chair, her beautiful eyebrows furrowed slightly, and inexplicable flames of fury rose in her heart. You are Chu Chuluo's son, Chu Zan. Chu Zan raised his head and glanced at her. Who are you, auntie? Sensing Qin Pingxia's malicious gaze, which seemed to be filled with the desire to beat him up, he replied lazily. Did you just call me, auntie? Qin Pingxia was so angry that her delicate body was trembling all over. You are from the same generation as my father. If I don't call you auntie, should I call you sister instead? Chu Zan stretched lazily and yawned. You. Qin Pingxia took a few deep breaths and turned around to look at Chu Chousheng and Chu Choufeng behind her. She asked, is your Chu family going to ruin the marriage engagement? Have you thought about the consequences? Chu Chousheng smiled bitterly and said, our Chu family is indeed in the wrong regarding this matter, but, as you can see, the person in question has already escaped. Whether they can be captured or not is another matter altogether, but even if we force them to marry, it will not be fair to Qian. Qin Pingxia looked at Chu Zan and said, since Chu Chuluo betrayed me, then let his son pay his dues. FCK. Chu Zan said in shock, auntie, how old are you? You already have a daughter, yet you have such thick skin. Are you an old cow that wants to eat young grass? No wonder my father didn't want you. How dare you? Qin Pingxia's face was livid, and her aura erupted, displaying her peak void realm cultivation. Chu Chousheng hurriedly moved and stood between her and Chu Zan. He turned around to glare at Chu Zan and said, what nonsense are you speaking? Chu Zan could not help but turn speechless when he saw that Chu Chousheng was almost sweating from the pressure of her aura. This uncle of his was a little useless. He was only at the 5th level of the void realm. Qin Pingxia withdrew her aura, took a deep breath, and said, since Chu Yuan isn't willing, then let Chu Zan marry my daughter. This. Chu Chousheng looked at Qin Qian and said, Qin Qian, you. I like him. He's good looking, Qin Qian said with a red face and lowered her head. Was she so fickle? She just said that she liked Chu Yuan earlier, but, in the blink of an eye, she now liked Chu Zan. Chu Chousheng and his brother were speechless. I don't agree. Chu Zan raised his hand and said. What right do you have to disagree? Qin Pingxia looked at him coldly. Chu Zan said seriously, I'm trash. Isn't it a waste for your daughter to marry me? Qin Pingxia, Chu Chousheng and Chu Choufeng. How could you say the words, I'm trash, so righteously? Where was your pride? Did you not want it? Chapter 36. Void Heart Flame, Demon Reincarnation. How is your daughter going to face the world if she marries a good-for-nothing person like me? Do you still care about your reputation? Chu Zan continued in a serious tone, think about it. You, her mother, were dumped by my father. In the end, you actually asked your daughter to marry a good-for-nothing like me. What would everyone else think? They would think that no one wanted your daughter, so she can only marry a piece of trash. Auntie, it's true that my father dumped you, but do you want your daughter to carry the reputation of being unwanted and marrying a good-for-nothing? Huff, huff. Qin Pingxia was so angry that her entire body trembled and each breath she took was labored. She almost could not hold back the anger in her heart. After cultivating her heart and mind for more than 20 years, her state of mind was shattered today. To her, every word that Chu Zan said was not about referring to himself as a good-for-nothing. Instead, he was emphasizing the fact that she had been dumped by his father. The third sons of the Chu family are never good. Qin Pingxia gnashed her teeth and said. The two Chu brothers had cold sweat running down their faces, afraid that Qin Pingxia would suddenly attack them. With their current strength, they would not be able to stop her. Chu Zan just shrugged. After all, he was not the third son of the Chu family. What you said makes sense. A good-for-nothing is not good enough for my daughter. Qin Pingxia said hatefully. You rejected a woman who delivered herself to your doorstep. You've been rewarded with the void heart flame. Chu Zan's eyes lit up. There was a reward for this. Sure enough, the system's random rewards would always be triggered inadvertently. Qin Pingxia looked deeply at Chu Zan before turning around and leaving without saying another word. Qin Qian looked at Chu Zan with a red face, her eyes filled with regret. She turned around and left as well. Chu Zan frowned. Qin Qian acted like an obedient girl, but, for some reason, he felt that there was something wrong with this girl. He immediately used the heavenly secret origin probing technique on her. Qin Qian, her mother is Qin Pingxia and her father is Hong Fei. Within her resides the soul of the demon fox, which is the reincarnation of the emperor-level demon. The soul is currently in its recovery stage. It looks obedient on the outside but, on the inside, it's seductive and vicious. It's good at bewitching and likes good-looking men. Chu Zan took a deep breath. The soul of a demon fox and the reincarnation of an emperor-level demon. She was once an emperor-level powerhouse. Her soul was currently in its recovery stage. She looked well-behaved on the outside, but on the inside, she was vicious. This woman was not simple at all. Oh, she liked good-looking men. Chu Zan touched his face. He was good-looking after all, so there was no need to be modest about this. No wonder she said she liked him. The Qin kingdom was about to change. The future of the Qin family would be full of uncertainties due to Qin Qian's appearance. Was she a demon or a human? Due to his limited strength, he could not investigate Qin Qian's origins further, such as how she had been reborn into the Qin family, as well as the reason behind why her demon soul was reborn. He had to be careful of this girl. Although it would take a long time for her to fully recover, and even longer to recover her emperor realm cultivation. Qin Qian would hate Chu Yuan for breaking off the marriage engagement, right? It was not a good thing to be hated by a demon emperor. Chu Zan thought about it and decided to remind Chu Yuan. No matter what, he had always been sincere to Chu Zan. He glanced at the sky-shaking golden rock and gave it some instructions. The sky-shaking golden rock soared into the sky and disappeared into the horizon in the blink of an eye. Given the speed of the sky-shaking golden rock, it would not be difficult for it to locate Chu Yuan. Then he turned his attention to the system's reward. Void Heart Flame. An invisible flame appeared. Void Heart Flame. Burning heart, burning anger. The Void Heart Flame was like the fire inside one's heart. It could make people instantly furious and explode with anger. It could stir up people's anger and use their anger as fuel. As long as there was even the tiniest bit of anger, the Void Heart Flame could be ignited. Once ignited, it could not be extinguished. Chu Zan marveled at the power of the Void Heart Flame. It was impossible to guard oneself against it. In this world, who would not be angry? To kill a person, he would only need to provoke the other party slightly in order to ignite the Void Heart Flame. Once ignited, it could not be extinguished. Until the Void Heart Flame exploded in one's heart and the person died. It was a silent and invisible murder weapon. Those who were unaware would think that they had exploded in anger and died. A martial artist's anger would attack their heart, and their spiritual power would be thrown into disorder. It was not impossible for them to explode and die. On the surface, Chu Yuan's matter did not seem to have caused much trouble for the Chu family. However, Chu Zan knew that there would still be some cracks in the relationship between the Chu and Qin families from now on. He could imagine that as Qin Qian's emperor-level soul recovered, and her talent blossomed, her strength would increase by leaps and bounds. The Chu family would then deeply regret not having married Qin Qian into the family. If Chu Yuan ever returned, he would definitely be looked at with disdain in the Chu family. Chu Tianming probably would not even acknowledge him as a grandson. In the end, all of this had nothing to do with Chu Zan. He just wanted to live in peace. It did not matter to him if Qin Qian's emperor-level soul recovered. After all, if she could not restore her emperor realm cultivation within a short period of time, she would not be a threat to him. The deadline for a year's seclusion was almost up. The rewards would definitely be generous. The emperor realm did not seem too far away from Chu Zan. The lack of an emperor-level character in the southern region was already widely known and accepted fact in the cultivation world. The saying went, the lack of an emperor-level character in the southern region, be it in the ancient records or through the legends passed down from ancient times, was all due to a huge battle that had taken place. The earth veins collapsed and the rules were thrown into chaos. In addition, the emperor realm inheritance had gone missing. However, when Qin Qian appeared, Chu Zan knew that the reason behind this situation was not as simple as what was recorded in the records and passed down. Where did Qin Qian come from? Was she a demon emperor from the southern region or an outsider? There was too little information about the lands beyond the southern region. Even the ancient records did not mention much about it. Chu Zan could not help but think of Black Moon Tower. This force that had rooted itself all over the southern region was so strong that even the evil imperial court did not dare to use force to threaten it. It could be observed that Black Moon Tower's origins were not simple. It was highly likely that Black Moon Tower was a force that was not just limited to the southern region. A few thoughts flashed through Chu Zan's mind. At the moment, he could not implement some of his ideas and plans until he reached the Emperor realm. Moreover, since Qin Qian, the reincarnation of the demon emperor, had appeared, were there similar situations unfolding in other parts of the southern region? Or was it only Qin Qian who was special? What Chu Zan was even more curious about was why Qin Qian, a fox demon, had reincarnated as human. What was the situation behind her reincarnation? Was it done intentionally? Given the fact that she had retained her demon soul, all things considered, the possibility of her being intentionally reincarnated as a human was very high. Chu Zan thought about Qin Pingxia, the woman whose marriage was ruined by his father. In the end, she married a husband outside the four families and gave birth to Qin Qian. She even arranged for Qin Qian and Chu Yuan to be married. Was there any reason behind this? She had been dumped by someone. Why was she still willing to let her daughter marry into the Chu family? Moreover, Chu Yuan had always been taught by Chu Chuluo. He could be considered a successor to his legacy. The more Chu Zan thought about it, the more he felt that there seemed to be some kind of conspiracy behind it all. Chu Yuan was the one who ruined the marriage, but she came over and wanted to marry Qin Qian to Chu Zan just like that. Was she not being too casual about her daughter's marriage? There seemed to be something wrong with the Qin family. He had to remain steadfast. As long as his strength increased, no scheme or trick would ever be able to affect him. Fortunately, the reward for a year's seclusion was not far off. The reward for staying in seclusion for a year would definitely be something to look forward to. The Emperor realm seemed infinitely closer as each day passed. Not long after, the sky-shaking golden rock returned after reminding Chu Yuan, who had been escaping from Chu County, about the whole situation. Of course, it did not reveal that Chu Zan was the one who sent him that reminder. As for how Chu Yuan would react and what thoughts he would have, Chu Zan could not have cared less. Purple Moon Kingdom, Hu Quan, sect leader of the heretic cult. Hu Quan, who had not recovered from his serious injuries, looked at Kun Wu, who was old and had one foot in the grave. He said in a deep voice, "Brother Kun Wu, the end of your lifespan is approaching. After this matter is completed, I will hand over the complete blood spirit bead to you. It will definitely extend Brother Kun Wu's lifespan by 10 years and increase your chances of breaking through." Chapter 37. Words are truth and words are law. Kun Wu stared at Hu Quan for a long while and said in a hoarse voice, "Are you really willing to give up the blood spirit bead?" My, Hu Quan's cult ended up like this. The source of this entire disaster is the Chu family of the Qin kingdom. I can't take this lying down. Hu Quan said angrily. Many years of planning had been destroyed in an instant, and he himself had been seriously injured. Yuan Chong and the remaining 3 elders had also fallen in Chu County. The Purple Moon Kingdom's heretic cult was on the verge of being wiped out. It had all started from the Chu family discovering the cult's spies and trying to purge the Chu County of the heretic cult. You're willing to hand over the blood spirit bead in exchange for the deaths of a few elders of the Chu family. Are you really willing to do something like that? The blood spirit bead was refined from the blood essence of tens of thousands of martial artists using a secret method. It was one of the most precious treasures for evil cultivators. In addition, the refining method of the blood spirit bead was in the sole possession of the evil imperial court. This was also the reason why the evil imperial court had so many experts willing to work under them. Kun Wu's cultivation was at the peak of the Void Realm, and he was a veteran Void Realm evil cultivator. However, he was still unable to break through to the Unity Realm, and the end of his lifespan was soon approaching. The blood spirit bead could increase one's lifespan by at least 10 years, and it could also increase the chances of one breaking through. It was one of the treasures that Kun Wu desired the most at the moment. My main target is Chu Chuluo's son. As long as we capture Chu Chuluo's son, I'll have plenty of ways to take revenge on the Chu family. Furthermore, he is Chu Chuluo's son. I would like to see if the Chu family will be so righteous so as to kill their own family members. Hu Quan gritted his teeth in hatred. All right, I'll agree to this venture. Kun Wu nodded in agreement. He had been stuck at the peak of the Void Realm for far too long, and he did not have much time left. This was a golden opportunity for him. While the Chu family was not weak, given his means and strength, as long as he did not barge in forcefully and end up surrounded, he was confident that he would be able to escape unscathed after capturing the target. Hu Quan raised his hand and waved, and half of the blood spirit bead flew out. After the deed is done, I'll give you the remaining half. Kun Wu took the blood spirit bead and gave Hu Quan a deep look. Then he turned around and left. He was not worried that Hu Quan would go back on his word. He believed that Hu Quan would not dare to anger a peak Void Realm expert who did not have much time left. Kun Wu did not directly snatch the blood spirit bead though. After all, Hu Quan was a subordinate member of the evil Imperial Court, and the blood spirit bead was considered the private property of the evil Imperial Court. If he dared to snatch it, he would have definitely been hunted down by the evil Imperial Court's experts. Even if he was lucky enough to break through to the Unity Realm, he would still die without a doubt. However, if Hu Quan went back on his word, then he would kill Hu Quan and snatch the remaining half of the blood spirit bead. The evil Imperial Court would not say or do anything in that case because his actions would be well within the rules. No evil cultivator dared to violate the rules of the evil Imperial Court. The Chu family was not weak, and Chu Tianming's strength was not inferior to his. Moreover, he had a treasured artifact in his possession. If they really were to fight, Kun Wu was not confident in his ability to defeat Chu Tianming. Moreover, he was old as well, so his strength had slightly decreased over time. However, so long as he was not surrounded and attacked by experts at the 8th level of the Void Realm or above, he was confident he could escape successfully. The objective of this venture was merely to capture Chu Chuluo's son and kill a few Chu family elders along the way. As long as he quietly infiltrated the Chu family's territory and captured Chu Chuluo's son, killing a few Chu family elders that guarded Chu County on the way back was not a difficult task for him at all. By the time the experts of the Chu family responded to the situation, he would have already returned to the Purple Moon Kingdom and successfully obtained the blood spirit bead. Once he broke through to the Unity Realm, which expert of the Chu family would he even be afraid of? If he failed to break through, he would not have many years to live anyway, so what was there to be afraid of? Chu Zan snapped his fingers. There were only 7 days left until the 1-year deadline. Time passed really quickly. Unknowingly, he had been staying inside this small courtyard for almost a year. In less than a year, he had broken through from the mortal realm all the way to the truth realm. Who would believe this news if it was spread out? This cultivation speed would make many heavens blessed weep, and saints and saintesses break down. There were 7 days left. There should not be any accidents until then. No one would come and disturb him, right? Was there anything more comfortable than living in seclusion and gradually becoming stronger? The answer to that question was no. Outside the small courtyard, someone was quietly approaching. The person was moving very carefully and sneakily. Chu Zan sighed helplessly. What was wrong with all these cultists? Why did they always look for him the moment they came to the Chu family's territory? Was it just because I am Chu Chuluo's son? When Kun Wu arrived at the small courtyard, he immediately sealed off the surroundings so that no sounds could be heard. Even if the other party shouted until his throat was dry, no one would notice. You are Chu Chuluo's son? Kun Wu asked. Looking at Chu Zan, who was sitting on the reclining chair, he could see his target staring back at him expressionlessly. I am indeed Chu Chuluo's son, but help me understand something. Why do you cultists always come looking for me? Could it be that my father dug up the ancestral graves of your cult? Chu Zan sighed and said. Ha, this old man isn't from the heretic cult, but I was hired by the cult. Kid, you should obediently follow this old man. Kun Wu smiled and raised his hand to grab Chu Zan. He was not from the cult. Chu Zan was surprised. Kun Wu's strength was at the peak of the Void Realm, but it seemed that he did not have much time left, and looked like he was about to pass away at any moment. He thought that he had been some hidden old man from the cult. Ignoring Kun Wu's hand, Chu Zan said indifferently, kneel down. Plop. Kun Wu immediately knelt down. His words were truth and his words were law. Chu Zan, who was at the 3rd level of the truth realm, used the truth mantra against Kun Wu, who was at the peak of the Void Realm. Its power was akin to the law of the Great Tao, and Kun Wu did not possess the ability to resist his words at all. As his strength increased, the power of the truth mantra had already increased, and was no longer limited to just making people speak the truth. It could be imposed on those with lower cultivation levels, which would achieve the effect of them having to act in accordance with his commands. Gulp. Kunwu could not help but break out into cold sweat. Spiritual power surged out of his body as he tried to get up and escape. Kneel properly and don't think about running away. Chuzan continued to speak indifferently. As soon as he finished speaking, Kunwu's surging spiritual power quieted down. The thought of escaping had disappeared as well. Drip. Cold sweat dripped down his forehead. Kunwu was extremely terrified. What kind of strength was this? Was this the legendary Emperor realm? Was he truly Chu Chuluo's son? Who would believe that? The Chu family was extremely terrifying. Kunwu was cursing Hu Quan to death in his heart. Tell me your origin and what your purpose is in coming here. Chuzan continued to use the truth mantra. Kunwu opened his mouth and told him everything. He was terrified. Why did he reveal everything after the other party just said one sentence? There was no way for him to resist at all. After listening to Kunwu's explanation, Chuzan was speechless. Was there something wrong with the brains of these cultists? They were about to be eradicated, yet somehow they refused to stop. They just had to come and disturb him again and again. Could it be that the evil techniques these evil cultivators had cultivated had rotted their brains? He glanced at Kunwu. He did not have any intention of turning Kunwu into one of his lackeys. He was too useless. The fact that he had been stuck at the peak of the Void Realm pinnacle and had been unable to achieve a breakthrough made it apparent how useless his innate talent was. As long as one's innate talent was not too poor, one would be able to achieve a breakthrough to the Unity Realm after such a long period of accumulation. Trash had no value at all. Furthermore, he did not have much time left to live. Would Chuzan help him achieve a breakthrough? No, it was an utter waste of resources. Chuzan did not kill Kunwu directly, but used the Seed Soul Seal to control him instead. He thought of the lightning bombs that the system had rewarded him with a while ago. He immediately took out a few. He stuffed them all into Kunwu's hands and directly controlled his will, ordering him to carry the lightning bombs to the evil Imperial Court's capital to cause trouble. He would kill as many experts as he could by blowing up the evil Imperial Court. Go, use your last bit of life to shine brightly. Then your existence in this world will not have been for nothing. Chuzan waved his hand and sent Kunwu away. Chapter 38. Charging into the Evil King's Palace. Chuzan did not ask Kunwu to destroy the heretic cult of the Purple Moon Kingdom. Instead, he sent Kunwu directly to the evil Imperial Court's capital to cause trouble. The power of the lightning bombs were not ordinary, and they were even more effective against evil cultivators. They should be able to cause a spectacular explosion at the evil Imperial Court's capital. A couple of lightning bombs would likely not cause too much damage. However, just being able to detonate an explosion in the evil Imperial Court's capital was already something worth shouting about. The explosion should be able to kill a few Unity Realm evil cultivators at least. Kunwu's strength was limited after all. If Chuzan gave him too many lightning bombs, he would not be able to detonate them in time anyway, and any unused lightning bombs would benefit the evil Imperial Court instead. Therefore, Chuzan only gave him a few lightning bombs. Moreover, it might not be a good thing if he really went all out and blew up the evil Imperial Court's capital. If the evil Imperial Court went crazy as a result, the southern region would likely descend into a state of absolute chaos. At this stage, Chuzan did not want to stir up too much trouble. If the situation exploded out of control, it would end up affecting the Chu family. How then would he be able to stay in seclusion peacefully and quietly while becoming stronger? After Kunwu left Chu County, he rushed all the way to the evil Imperial Court. His heart was on the verge of collapsing. The Chu family was very terrifying. This trip would be his last. The evil Imperial Court was considered a holy land in the hearts of the evil cultivators of the southern region. It was also the largest force of the evil cultivators in the southern region. No evil cultivator dared to challenge the prestige of the evil Imperial Court. Kunwu had never expected that, when he was approaching the end of his lifespan, he would be forced to go to the evil Imperial Court to cause trouble. One day later, he entered the evil Imperial Court's territory. A day later, he arrived at the evil Imperial Court's capital. Kunwu's gaze turned resolute, seeming exuding faith and an indomitable will, as he stepped into the evil Imperial City. He soon arrived in front of the evil Imperial Palace. The evil Imperial Palace's gatekeepers were all Void Realm martial artists. Although they were only at the first or second level of the Void Realm, from a glance, it could be seen that the evil Imperial Court's strength was formidable. All evil cultivators who managed to break through to the Unity Realm had to submit to the Imperial City. Without an order, they were not allowed to leave the territory of the evil Imperial Court. This was the rule of the evil Imperial Court. Any evil cultivator who violated this rule would be killed without question. Although the evil Imperial Court was powerful, it was not without its enemies. When the old evil king went into closed-door cultivation, the evil king court greatly restrained themselves and did not continue to invade other territories and forces. Stop! The guard in front of the evil Imperial Palace saw Kun Wu's hunched figure walking straight toward him and immediately shouted. Kun Wu raised his head and smiled coldly. No evil cultivators dares to offend the holy land of the evil cultivators. Today, I, Kun Wu, will be the first to charge into this holy land of evil cultivators. What did you say? The guard thought that he was hallucinating. He was actually going to charge into the evil Imperial Palace. Even a madman who was not afraid of death would not dare to barge in. If one challenged the authority of the evil king, then one's life would be worse than death. As evil cultivators, they knew better than anyone how cruel the methods of evil cultivators were. Kun Wu's body straightened and his aura became vigorous. His strength, which was at the peak of the Void Realm, was displayed for all to see. Remember, my name is Kun Wu. At this moment, Kun Wu no longer looked aged and tired. A pitch-black bone blade appeared in his hand. The blade was like an elongated rib. Actually, it was indeed a rib. It was a spiritual artifact that Kun Wu had refined from a Void Realm martial artist he killed, in which he used various secret techniques. I want to shine like a diamond in the last moments of my life. I want to let all the evil cultivators in the world remember that there was once an evil cultivator called Kun Wu, who bravely barged into the evil Imperial Palace. My name, Kun Wu, will forever be remembered in the history of the southern region. So what if I die? My legacy will live on. Kun Wu had thought it through. In any case, he could not go against the Chuzan's will anyway. Since that was the case, he might as well make a big deal out of it. He had to die, but even if he died, he had to leave his name in the history records of evil cultivators in the southern region, and perhaps even in the history records of all cultivators in the southern region. Many years later, there would still be people who remembered that an evil cultivator named Kun Wu had bravely barged into the evil Imperial Palace. The guards widened their eyes. Had this person gone mad? Had cultivating an evil technique damaged his brain? Could it be that they would one day become like this as well? Bang! Kun Wu made his move and, as expected, his first move was to hurl a lightning bomb. The two guards only had the strength of first or second level Void Realm martial artists, and they did not think that Kun Wu would actually dare to make a move. There was no way they could withstand the explosion, and they both perished on the spot. Bang! Kun Wu charged toward the evil Imperial Palace and directly chopped off a corner of the evil Imperial Palace's gates. Impudent! A powerful aura rose from within the evil Imperial Palace and, as soon as Kun Wu charged into the evil Imperial Palace, a few guards at the 8th level of the Void Realm charged over. In the distance, several auras of the Unity Realm experts appeared as well, and they began to rush over. In the distance, the aura of a Truth Realm expert appeared. Kun Wu's eyes flashed with madness. Since his death was unavoidable, then he would die a violent death and go down in a blaze of glory. At least he could still leave his name in the history books. Even after thousands of years, there would still be people who remembered his name and his glorious actions and courage. Avoiding the Void Realm guards that pounced in his direction, Kun Wu directly rushed toward the depths of the evil Imperial Palace. Die! He charged 100 meters into the evil Imperial Palace. By this time, a Unity Realm expert had already arrived, and a huge hand created from spiritual power tried to grab him. A lightning bomb appeared in Kun Wu's hand. He immediately activated it and threw it at the hand. That Unity Realm expert's eyelids twitched, and he hurriedly tried to block the attack. He sensed an intense danger emanating from the lightning bomb. Rumble! Lightning flashed and thunder rumbled. An astonishing amount of power was unleashed. The resulting explosion caused a building to collapse, and that Unity Realm evil cultivator died immediately from the lightning. Kun Wu continued to head deeper into the palace. The intense explosion shocked the entire evil Imperial City. All the evil cultivators looked in the direction of the evil Imperial Palace in shock. What had happened? Not long after, the news of someone courageously barging into the evil Imperial Palace and killing the evil Imperial Palace's guards spread, and the evil cultivators' eyes widened in shock. Voila! Everyone rushed toward the evil Imperial Palace, wanting to see just who it was that dared to challenge the evil king's authority. Today was destined to be the most explosive day in the history of the evil Imperial Palace. A peak Void Realm evil cultivator who did not have much time left to live had charged into the evil Imperial Palace and killed the guards. He even relied on some powerful secret treasure to kill the Unity Realm guards, destroy more than a dozen buildings, and heavily injure 2 Truth Realm experts. Finally, he let out a furious roar and self-destructed inside the evil Imperial Palace. Haha, I, Kun Wu, will die a violent death. Evil cultivators who don't dare to enter the evil Imperial Palace are not evil cultivators. As evil cultivators, I will enter the holy land of evil cultivators even if I die doing so. Remember, my name is Kun Wu. Among the spectating evil cultivators, several evil cultivators who were about to reach the end of their lives suddenly felt their blood boil. They looked almost ready to break into the evil Imperial Palace themselves. The other evil cultivators around them were so frightened that they hurriedly moved away. FCK, has he gone mad? He even dared to provoke the dignity of the evil king. It did not matter if he died, but was he not afraid that his family, descendants, and disciples would be implicated by his actions? The other party was so majestic, while he was probably just a lone evil cultivator. This was the first time the dignity of the evil Imperial Palace had been challenged by an evil cultivator. Everyone hurriedly moved away from the palace, afraid that they would be implicated in some way or form. They did not dare to breathe loudly and were terrified that they would be targeted by the experts of the evil Imperial Court. B-starred. In the main hall of the evil Imperial Palace, the current evil king's face was ashen, and the expressions of the higher-ups of the evil Imperial Court were also unsightly. Bring his family and disciples here. I want them to suffer a fate worse than death. The evil king roared. No evil cultivator had ever challenged the prestige of the evil king in the past. He became the first evil king in history to have his authority challenged by an evil cultivator. As a result, he felt that his prestige had taken a devastating blow. I'm afraid that he's a lone evil cultivator who doesn't even have a successor. Someone said helplessly. Many people even felt that once Kun Wu started this, other lone evil cultivators might imitate him in order to leave their mark in history. The evil king's face would probably be slapped again and again. Chapter 39. Staying in seclusion for a year, Jade Void Immortal Scripture and 100 Years of Cultivation. The news of Kun Wu's courageous intrusion into the evil Imperial Palace was destined to spread throughout the entire southern province and reach the ears of every evil cultivator. There were many evil cultivators in the world, and there were always a few who were crazy and mad. It was only a matter of time before they imitated his actions. People who practiced evil techniques were more prone to becoming mentally dysfunctional. After this matter spread, Kun Wu became famous. In an instant, he went from being a nobody to becoming a well-known public figure. Some evil cultivators who had problems with their brains also wanted to become famous, so they naturally imitated him. The ironclad law of the evil Imperial Court that previously could not be provoked would be challenged. The face of the current evil king would also be slapped again and again. When Hu Quan heard this news, he was completely stunned. Cold sweat was dripping down his face. Had that old B***starred Kun Wu gone crazy? He really wanted to grab Kun Wu and scream. I asked you to stir up trouble in Chu County and capture someone. I never asked you to go to the evil Imperial Palace to provoke the evil king. What exactly had happened here? Why did Kun Wu suddenly go to the evil Imperial Palace? Did he even go to the Chu family's territory? Did something happen to his brain on the way that caused him to go to the evil Imperial Palace instead? Or did he encounter some kind of mishap while he was in the Chu family's territory? Hu Quan broke out into cold sweat. Since he was the one who had given Kun Wu the order to stir up trouble in the Chu family's territory, despite the fact that he was not involved in Kun Wu's crazy decision to go to the evil Imperial Palace and slap the evil king on the face, he would be doomed if anyone found out or if the news got out. Fortunately, only he and Kun Wu knew about their conspiracy, and there was no third party present. Black Moon Tower shouldn't know, right? It was such a confidential matter and, without a third party present, there should be no possibility of it being leaked. Hu Quan muttered in his heart. Hopefully that old bastard Kun Wu did not leak the information to Black Moon Tower. Otherwise, that group of black-hearted people would definitely use this information to search out the evil king and extort a sum of money from him. Let's recuperate quietly. This matter has nothing to do with me. I have never seen or heard of Kun Wu before. Hu Quan made up his mind to keep a low profile. He did not want to be captured by the evil king. That would result in a fate worse than death. Something is not right with the Chu family. Why is it that every time something happens, it has something to do with the Chu family? Hu Quan felt that the Chu family seemed to be hiding some big secret. After the incident with Kun Wu, he did not dare to continue targeting the Chu family. He would maintain a low profile and recuperate for now. He would plan his next move after he recovered from his injuries. However, he had no intentions of letting the Chu family off. Were it not for the Chu family, how would he have ended up in such a situation in the first place? The Purple Moon Kingdom's cult had almost been completely decimated. The evil imperial court would probably regard him as incompetent. If he was not incompetent, then why did he end up in such a state? In the eyes of the evil imperial court's experts, if he could not even develop and manage a small cult branch well, what else could he be if not incompetent? Moreover, the evil imperial court did not actually require the cult to develop and grow. They only wanted each cult branch to maintain their strength and avoid destruction. They even gave him a treasured artifact to help him do so. If he failed to accomplish even that under such circumstances, he would definitely be regarded as incompetent. In fact, Hu Quan was worried that the evil imperial court powerhouses would think that he was useless and kill him off directly. What was even more terrifying was that he might be treated as a material to refine the blood spirit bead. Chu family. Hu Quan gritted his teeth. He reached out and took out a small black-red bead. He stared at the small bead for a long time, and his eyes were filled with hesitation. He had found this bead while exploring a mystic realm. After many years of searching and reading ancient records, he roughly understood what the bead was. Demonic blood bead. It contained demon blood. Once its power leaked out, anyone below the truth realm would become demonized. Once demonized, they would become demon slaves. The demon race was the mortal enemy of the human race. Whether it was the righteous or the evil path, they both would not allow the demon race to exist. On the surface, the demon race was not present in the southern region. Anyone who was tainted by the demon race's demon blood would become a demon slave, and they would quickly be eliminated. Hu Quan's eyes flashed with viciousness. He stared at the demon blood bead for a long time before putting it away. He would decide whether or not to carry out his plan after he recovered from his injuries. You did not leave the house but, with a single thought, you managed to shake the foundations of the evil imperial court, shocking all of the evil cultivators in the southern region. You've been rewarded with the lucky mystic realm. Chu Zan was stunned. He had shaken the foundations of the evil imperial court, and shocked all of the evil cultivators in the southern region. That old man, Kun Wu, was quite capable. He checked out the system's reward. The lucky mystic realm does not require you to leave your house. You can set up a lucky mystic realm in the South Province, and leave it for the fated person to discover and obtain the inheritance within. This lucky mystic realm was not for Chu Zan to enter. Instead, it allowed Chu Zan to set up a lucky mystic realm anywhere in the southern region. Anyone who obtained this fortuitous encounter would definitely reap great rewards. The person who obtained the inheritance of the lucky mystic realm would become Chu Zan's successor. Moreover, as long as Chu Zan was willing, he could instantly seize the successor's cultivation base, and even control the person's life and death. Chu Zan looked at the simple and unadorned little palace icon in the system. As long as he had enough lucky mystic realms, would he be able to remain in seclusion while creating successors for himself all over the continent? In addition, every successor would not be able to betray him. Even if the successor really wanted to, Chu Zan could seize their cultivation base at any time. The successor's life and death would be under Chu Zan's control. Naturally, the successor of the lucky mystic realm would not be aware that their life and death were under Chu Zan's control. Those who are able to enter the lucky mystic realm will all experience fortuitous encounters. Isn't this equivalent to creating protagonists? I won't have to leave seclusion, yet my successors will be all over the continent. It's interesting that I'll be the backer of a bunch of heaven's blessed. If any successor dares to disobey their master, I can instantly take back their cultivation base. I can even reward their cultivation base to other successors. How wonderful! Chu Zan thought about the idea of setting up the lucky mystic realm, but the conditions were not suitable for the time being. After all, his current strength was too weak. The upper limit of the lucky mystic realm that he could set up was not very high, so there was no point in doing so. Even if he did set up the lucky mystic realm, if he wanted to create the internal layout and furnish it, the minimum requirement to do so was for him to be at the initial levels of the Emperor realm. After all, what kind of heavens blessed would want to enter a mystic realm that was not even at the Emperor level? The Emperor realm was only the beginning. There were only 2 days left until the 1-year deadline. Chu Zan was extremely excited. Within these 2 short days, nothing would happen, right? Time passed peacefully. The 1-year deadline was fast approaching. Chuzan rubbed his hands in anticipation. Whether or not he could break through to the Emperor realm within a short period of time would depend on the rewards he got from the system for remaining in seclusion for a year. The longer he stayed in seclusion, the more generous the system's rewards would be. He had received some rewards of heaven-level scriptures and divine techniques previously. His first 1-year reward would definitely be greater than those. Perhaps, he would be able to break through to the Emperor realm directly. After breaking through to the Emperor realm, Chuzan would finally have some confidence in preserving his own safety. You've been in seclusion for a year. You've been rewarded with the Jade Void Immortal Scripture and 100 years worth of cultivation. Chuzan was pleasantly surprised. Not only did he get an immortal scripture, he also received 100 years worth of cultivation. It seemed that his worries about not reaching the Emperor realm were unfounded. He could not wait to receive the reward. Boom! Chuzan did not take out and examine the Jade Void Immortal Scripture. Instead, he directly got the system to instill it into his mind. The Jade Void Immortal Scripture was a cultivation technique that pointed to the Great Tao, and it recorded many secret techniques within it. While Chuzan was comprehending the Jade Void Immortal Scripture, the 100 years worth of cultivation was being transmitted to him. At this moment, it was as if he was starting from scratch and cultivating the Jade Void Immortal Scripture. The spiritual power that he originally cultivated from the Great Luo Emperor Scripture was being continuously compressed. His meridians were also being continuously expanded. When compared, the spiritual power cultivated from the Jade Void Immortal Scripture was dozens of times stronger than the spiritual power cultivated from the Great Luo Emperor Scripture. Chuzan, who cultivated the Jade Void Immortal Scripture, would be able to fight against 10 people who cultivated the Great Luo Emperor Scripture without breaking a sweat. Thanks to the infusion of 100 years worth of cultivation, Chuzan's strength continued to rise. 4th, 5th, 8th. Chapter 40. Breaking through to the Emperor realm. At a certain point, it was as if he had broken past a bottleneck. Boom! Chuzan's physical body was transforming, and his spiritual will was also transforming. The transformation was even more intense than when Immortal broke through to the profound realm. The small courtyard was still calm, and one could not sense the slightest movement from within. Chuzan, who was sitting cross-legged, was experiencing extreme sublimation and stepping into a brand new world. His spiritual will began to condense, and a rumbling sound could be heard inside his mind. It was almost as if there was an invisible barrier preventing his spiritual will from further sublimating. Boom! His spiritual will was like a big hammer, constantly hammering away at that invisible barrier. His physical body and spiritual power were also sublimating and transforming. His bones were like jade, his marrow was like a wide river, and his blood was like a vast ocean. Rumble! His spiritual power and spiritual will fused together, creating a type of divine soul power that seeped out of his body, which merged with heaven and earth, and merged with the laws of this world. The transformation of his spiritual will continued, yet that invisible barrier seemed to be unbreakable. As the infusion of the 100 years worth of cultivation continued, his comprehension of the Jade Void Immortal Scripture continued to increase along with his cultivation base. Chuzan was in a mysterious state. After an unknown period of time, he finally penetrated the thin membrane and arrived in a new world. A comfortable feeling surged into his soul. Chuzan felt his entire body tremble as if he was experiencing catharsis. At this moment, his spiritual will had been sublimated. Boom! A human-shaped spiritual will appeared in his mind. One could vaguely see that it resembled Chuzan's appearance. Divine Soul. The fundamental sign of having broken through to the Emperor realm was the transformation of one's spiritual will to form a divine soul. After forming a divine soul, even if one's physical body was destroyed, as long as one's divine soul escaped, one would be able to survive. As the divine soul was being formed, the transformation continued. The transformation of his spiritual power and physical body also continued. The power of his divine soul spread out and connected with heaven and earth, merging with heaven and earth. With the small courtyard at the center, ripples spread out in all directions. 100 meters, 1 kilometer. The power of his divine soul continued to spread out and merge with heaven and earth. A special field gradually formed. Chuzan was experiencing a breakthrough to the Emperor realm. He witnessed some of the laws of heaven and earth, and his comprehension of heaven and earth improved by leaps and bounds. It almost seemed like he had already seen the true essence of heaven and earth. It was as if he could mobilize the great power of heaven and earth for his own use with just a thought. It was as if he had built a new miniature world with himself as the center and, within this miniature world, everything was controlled by him. He was the ruler of this miniature world, and the supreme law of land. As his divine soul continued to solidify, Chuzan was able to witness more laws around him. In this vast world, there seemed to be some incomplete laws in his corner of the world. Chuzan vaguely saw that the rules in the southern region seemed to have been broken in several places. Perhaps this was the true cause behind the lack of an emperor-level character in the southern region. Since the laws were incomplete, the power of the divine soul could not merge with the world and could not complete the final step in breaking through to the emperor realm. Chuzan believed that perhaps some experts had condensed their divine souls, but because they could not merge its power with the laws here, nor integrate the laws into the divine soul, they could not construct a miniature world of their own. As such, they had not completely broken through to the emperor realm. They could only be considered half-emperors. The broken laws of the southern region seemed to be gradually recovering. After the laws recovered, perhaps those who possessed an emperor-level inheritance would be able to break through to the emperor realm. However, Chuzan was an exception. He was not limited by the flaws of the laws in the southern region. He encountered no problems in the process of breaking through to the emperor realm. What his divine soul power merged with were not the laws of the southern region, but rather the laws of this vast world. These laws were of a higher level. The transformation of his soul was not over yet. The miniature world, with Chuzan at its center, was still expanding. 3 miles, 5 miles. Gradually, his divine soul power spread out all the way to the Chu family's ancestral residence. At this moment, none of the secrets in the ancestral residence could be hidden from Chuzan. Since he was using his Emperor Realm divine soul power, Chu Tianming and the other experts of the Chu family naturally would not be able to discover anything. Chuzan could see that, in the depths of the Chu family's ancestral residence, there were several figures in closed-door cultivation inside the forbidden area. Their auras indicated that they were somewhere between the Unity Realm and the Void Realm. With just a little more effort, they would be able to break through to the Unity Realm. Chuzan was puzzled. Did the Chu family really not have any hidden Unity Realm experts as their foundation? Was it due to the cultivation method that they were unable to break through to the Unity Realm? Or was it because their innate talent was too poor? It could not be denied that they indeed possessed a certain level of innate talent. Among those few family elders that were in seclusion, none of them were weaker than Chu Tianming. It was likely that they were the hidden trump cards of the Chu family. The Chu family had more than one treasured artifact. Together with those few family elders who were in seclusion, there was also a treasured artifact. Moreover, it was a high-grade treasured artifact. Although it was not as good as the spirit-severing saber, it still reached the level of a high-grade treasured artifact. The power of his divine soul continued to spread out. The Chu family's territory had a circumference of 12 li, and the ancestral residence was at its core. Beyond it were the servants' residences, and the stewards' residences, which protected the ancestral residence. Finally, the power of his divine soul covered the entirety of the Chu family's territory, and the miniature world that Chuzan had constructed similarly covered the Chu family's territory. At this moment, Chuzan realized that the structure of the Chu family's territory was actually an array formation. During critical moments, the Chu family could use this array formation to defend themselves, or unleash powerful attacks. This was the true foundation of the Chu family. After seeing this array formation, Chuzan understood that the ancestors of the Chu family were quite capable. Perhaps the array formation had been excavated from some ancient ruins. In fact, the Chu family's territory was also the site of an ancient ruin. The transformation of his divine soul was coming to an end. The construction of his miniature world was coming to an end. The breakthrough continued. Once the transformation of his divine soul was complete, and the construction of his miniature world was complete, at that time, he would have truly stepped into the Emperor Realm. The other sign of an Emperor Realm expert, aside from one's spiritual will transforming into a divine soul, was the ability to control a domain. This was the miniature world that Chuzan was constructing. The Emperor Realm. The description of the Emperor Realm in the cultivation world could be summarized in one sentence. I am the Emperor of my domain, and my laws are absolute. This was the power of the Emperor Realm. No matter how many Truth Realm experts there were, they were just ants inside the domain of an Emperor Realm expert. One thought could decide the life and death of the people inside the domain. When the Emperor was angry, the land would be filled with millions of corpses. Chuzan started to retract the power of his divine soul as well as the power of his domain. He had already broken through to the Emperor realm. He was now a first-level Emperor realm cultivator. With his current strength, his domain just happened to cover the territory of the Chu family. In other words, it covered a radius of 12 li. With just a thought, he could control everything within this 12 li radius. Normally, the domain of an emperor who had just broken through would only be around 3 li, while the domain of a powerful first-level emperor would only be around 5 li. Chu Zan's domain was no weaker than that of an ordinary third-level emperor realm expert. The breakthrough continued. His 100 years' worth of cultivation was still being digested. His divine soul power paused for a moment over the Chu family's ancestral residence. Chu Zan noticed that there was an underground space at the core of the Chu family's ancestral residence. As expected, this place was once an ancient ruin. The Chu family had relied on this to develop. The Qin, Zhao, and He family territories should be similar as well. Chu Zan did not probe further. Even if it was an ancient ruin, the underground space did not have much value to Chu Zan. It did not give him any special feeling. The power of his divine soul was constantly being retracted, and the power of his domain had already been fully withdrawn.